Hello, this is Whatsawhizzer. Sorry about that. For some reason, when I reloaded it up, it actually threw me into my July survey, and then it started having that go live. So I have no clue why it was doing that. Uh, I'm just gonna wait. If you can give me a confirmation, you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me in the comments by now? Awesome, thank you. That's the lag, by the way. That's when I saw your yes was right when I said thank you. I'm still not. You can tell I'm not really much of a streamer. I just working on it, trying to get there. Some of you probably noticed last night. I sent out a little audio clip that's basically using a computer, text to speech, but then doing a little bit of my own editing to it. I was looking at different programs that are able to do that. Someone kind of gave me the idea because you guys know for a while now I've been interested in doing audiobooks, but I did a survey on it a few months ago, and a lot of people's opinions on that survey, they seem to be that they wanted an audio drama, not an audio book. The big difference, if you've ever been to Audible, an audiobook is just somebody reading off the content. An audio drama tends to have music, sound effects, different actors. It's something like you'd hear on the old 1950s radio. And some people seem to want an erotic version of that, which is extremely expensive and extremely difficult to do and involve getting a lot of people, and I don't make nearly enough money for something like that to be worth doing. But then I was talking to somebody last night, and they kind of gave me the idea that I could kind of take the middle ground and end up you use like just MTL voices, use text to speak voices to and then pick different ones. Just pick a nice service that allows me to play with it a little bit, and then create kind of my own audio. Um, the response on Discord hasn't been that great on it, but I think most of the people there aren't even the people who would be listening to audiobooks in the first place. No offense. I'm still interested in doing it. I actually I'm going to create it with I asked a illustrator to make sketches, and he's going to make 5 sketches for me that are going to take place over the chapter. So the first sketch might be Deke on the ground getting kicked. The second sketch might be him, in the kitchen cooking or riding his bike away or whatever. He's going to pick 5 sketches, and then I'm going to create a little video clip. So it's going to be, you're going to have the video. They're going to be rough drawings. They're not going to be, anywhere close. They're not even going to be in color. Probably they'll be black and white sketches, but they'll show the scene that's happening, and then you'll have the music, and then you'll have the people speaking. I'm probably going to pick better music. I didn't really like the music I picked. That was the options of the service I was trying to use, which once again, I'm not even sure I want to stick with that service. They, for the price, they were the best, but I'm not 100% sold on them. Speechello is what I'm using, and they are a scummy site. They're one of those really misleading ones. Thankfully, I did the research before I signed into them, but they get you. It costs like $30-$40 to get the initial software, but what they don't tell you is 90% of the software is locked behind a paywall after buying the software, and that's a monthly fee. So they sell you on the fact that, oh, you only have to pay once, but what you pay once for is the crappy stuff, and if you want the good stuff, you got to play it monthly, which is normal for all of them. So I knew it going in, so when I got it, I wasn't that upset. But yeah, that was my experience yesterday. It's kind of nice having a week off because it lets me do things like that. Because when I'm having to write to my schedule, I can't do anything creatively. I can't think outside the box. I can't I just have to keep writing. Well, all my creativity is being put into the writing, so I don't have the time to work on things like ebooks and stuff like that. Anyway, nice to see you all. Glad to see we got a couple people here. It's about normal, what I expect. One of the reasons I want to do the MDL YouTube stuff is because I don't think there's a lot of people who do that, and I think it's a good way. Even my dad has been recommending that I do something like that to try to build up business. And like I said, even with you guys, there's how many? 9 people. I have 1,200 supporters, probably more than that. And yeah, probably a lot more than that. Probably like 1,500 supporters if I'm counting. That's just a couple of them. But I only end up with 8 people who are willing to watch me on YouTube at any given time. And I've done different timing. I've done 1 p.m. now, but usually I do 9 p.m. and I've tried other times, and so this is about usual for how many people I get to join. But even a small YouTuber can get, several hundred people on his stream. So it'd be nice to kind of bring people in from other areas. I mean, it's all about, you got to continue to sell yourself, and you got to, build up your fan base. And I'm at a point where I'm comfortable, but I still would like to do that. And I think the MDL videos would be a good way of doing it. So the main thing I usually do, for anyone who hasn't watched any of my Q&As before, or if you are new to anything I do, is I put out a survey twice a year, once in June. Well, technically I put it out a month early to get it done, and so yeah, this is a December survey because I'm going through in December, but technically I put it out in November. But twice a year I put out the survey, and just kind of get a feeling for what people are saying. There's a lot of reasons I do it. Partially it's there to advertise, even because there's a lot of features that people just don't know I'm involved in, and so when I put it out, just allows people to have an idea of the things I have. Most people have never, for example, realized I have this comic right here, Isekai no Monogatari. I'm up to comic 4 with the redos, so this is the new artist. He's a lot more expensive than my previous artist. That's the big reason. But I've been continuing on. So every batch, I usually buy batches of 5 comics from him, and then I write the scripts and tell him what I want, and he puts them out. And the scripts are basically about I get 5 at a time, and one of them's always the previous. So I've had 4 batches since I've started redoing the old ones, because I think it goes up to about 60 or something when it starts to change over. So there's I eventually, once I get them all to the new artist, I will probably create a book, ebook, and sell it for the first 100 chapters at least. I'm interested in doing it to the point where they escape the witch. I'm kind of using that as the finale, and then the new stuff that just come out. I did it this way right now. I stopped when I started releasing them in batches. So originally I was just releasing 1 a week, but I started releasing them for free, and then I switched it to. I wanted some of the content to be locked because I wanted members to have a benefit. And then I was thinking, since I get them ordered in these five thing batches, I might as well put them all up for the early access people, and then slowly unlock them for everyone else. But what that ended up doing was that people could not. I didn't have a release schedule for Isekai no Monogatari, and I feel like having a release schedule was more important than having than than having the lock chapters even. So right now, this is how I'm doing it. I already set these up, so these are going to release one a week, and so those are the dates they'll release. And once they're all out, and then these are actually going to become free at the same time. So 83, I think, is already free right now, while 89 just was released yesterday. And then next week it'll be 90 and 84. And once these 4 are released, and these 4 are released, then these will become lock chapters. And by then I should have my next batch of 5. That's just how it's going to work. It's not. I don't think anyone really comes for watching Isekai no Monogatari, but it is an extra thing. I have talked to people about putting it into something else, but I don't know. Getting it out there into webtoons or something like that. But it's just a short 4-panel, so I don't really know how it's going to be. Anyway, yeah, I like to show the site. This is what the site looks like. If you're not seeing it like this, then there's something wrong with your loading. I have a kind of confusion because I get a lot of people who just said, "Oh, your site's horrible, and I hate the site, and I can't use it, and I don't understand it," and I don't understand that because to me, it's one of the most easy and intuitive sites to follow. People are constantly going, "Oh, I don't know what benefits I have." Well, your membership's right here, and that's benefits. There's your benefits. It's all listed, as clear as day. So, I mean, the image galleries, there's all the updated image galleries. Even if you click right here, you get a list of each of the image galleries. Oh, she hasn't fixed that yet. I'm going to make her fix those. I have a digital assistant that I have do stuff. She's supposed to swap these out. She's created, she's using the images from the characters, but it looks like she hasn't swapped them out yet. She must have forgot to do that. And then, if she's watching this, hi. It's Ruchinchin, which is who I use as a digital assistant. And then, here's how you get your complete ebook library if you're at the $50 or the $25 tier. The WoW phone app. I have not done anything with that phone app in a while. I presume it's still working because nobody's complained about it. But yeah, I got it to the point it was at. It was kind of a messy app. I would love to fix it up, but it involves trusting someone else, and I had so much issue with the first guy that I'm very hesitant to want to do more things, because the more things I do, the more chances there break. I was doing a lot of things earlier this year, around January, and then I had all those problems. I had the site become infected with malware several times, and there was actually a point where the store had been taken over by malware and asked people for personal information, and a few people gave their information thinking they were paying, and they had their credit cards leaked. So that was I fixed that within a day, so it wasn't very long, but it was scary. And the reason that stuff happens is because I'm trying to hire people, and I'm giving people the trust, access to my site so they can work on it, and then they turn out not to be trustworthy, and I get completely screwed. Most of them act like they have no clue how it happened, and it happened by magic, but the fact that it only happens when I'm working with, outside help, and never happens when I keep it locked down like Fort Knox and don't add new people, it makes me question their morality. But so yeah, I've not had any problems in the last 6 months or so, but that's mostly because I've been afraid to do anything new with the site. I would love to eventually fix the big complaint people have, which is when you're a member for Patreon. By the way, if you're a member for FFA, my full frontal access, basically a member of my website, You can become a member either through Patreon, or you can become a member through my native site. If you're a member through my native site, which uses PayPal or Stripe, which is basically any credit card payment, that works fine. That does recurring payments. There's absolutely no problems with that. If you use the credit cards, the Stripe, and you want to change your tiers a lot, because there's people who will be jumping from one tier to the next, it gets confused, and a lot of people get shoved into this point where Stripe still charges them, but for some reason the account doesn't renew. And if you email me, I can usually fix that really quick. But yeah, if you're going to be constantly changing tiers and screwing with your membership on a monthly basis, Patreon might be the best bet for you, because that's handled by a much more well-designed program than what I'm using with Stripe and PayPal. But if you're just, I'm going to be this tier and I'm going to stay this tier for 6 months, I highly recommend you just become part of my site, and then you don't have to worry about the renewal codes. If you are worrying about the renewal codes, I do want to fix it. I do want to eventually set it up to a point so that if I go to where is it? I remember at this point. It's been so long. Is it billing? No, it's not billing. Edit your profile? No, I'm not doing it. I guess it is your membership, but it looks different for me. Yeah, you go to renew your membership here, and then you enter the code, and I have all that I've done, in my Q&A about me, my Q&A right here. This has all questions to most of this. This has the answers to most of the questions anyone has, and I think most people ignore it, which sucks, because all these things you're saying that I'm doing wrong, and I'm like, the answer's right there. But if you do go into the Q&A, you can find what's the difference between these chapters, because I talk about so many different types. Just a lot of questions get answered there. Which, if you like reading, you're on my site because presumably you like reading, and maybe you should give it a gander. At least before I get a bunch of angry emails about stuff for rage quitting or whatever. And if there's something wrong, I'm happy to fix it. Anyway, the point I was making about Patreon was that I'd love to fix it so it's just one button, like a renew button, because there used to be a sign into Patreon, and then it was that orange button, and if you click that orange button, you would immediately be connected. And I'd like to set that up as the means of renewing the membership. And I have multiple people who are sort of working on it, but it hasn't really moved anywhere. And like I said, if I pushed it harder to get it done, it would involve putting my site at risk again. It would involve trusting a new guy, because the ones that were working on it, Zevin and stuff, they just don't have the time, and that's really the issue there. So yeah, I would love to fix it, and it is eventually on my list of things to fix, because it does seem that there are a group of people who do seem to be genuinely bothered. They have to copy a code and paste it once a month. Once again, if you go to FFA, you don't have to do that. That's only for Patreon. That's kind of the method I'm using to, and trust me, I don't want to do it either, because at the first of the month I have to do about just an hour to an hour and a half of work involved around just getting those coupon codes up, because I have to manually create every code. I have to put out the announcements. I would much rather you guys could do it with just a button. That saves me too. So if that ever comes up and ever gets fixed, that'd be beneficial for everyone, I think. But anyway, I don't have any other things to say about that. If you guys want, I'll be moving on to just the general results of the survey. Here's my new banner. My digital assistant, she's very good at making banners, and I've been ordering a couple new images. I still want a lot more. But yeah, I set up a survey this time. Usually in the past, I would set up so there'd be a survey for non-members and a survey for members. And I guess I always felt like you might have these non-members who couldn't be trusted to not lie and claim they're members because they think it has more of a sway. And so I always so the reason I cut them up was because then I could make sure the members are locked, or behind a locked door. But this time I decided not to. And part of it I feel like, there's no guarantee that the answers of a non-member are going to be less or more meaningful than the answers of a member. Because you have, members are already paying money, right? So if I wanted a survey and I was looking for the feedback, wouldn't the feedback of the non-members who I'm trying to get to become members be just as important? So that's kind of like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in non-members. No offense to them, because I tried last year when I tried to give them out a survey. I gave them a free coupon for a free book, and over 25% of the participants who took it decided to take the coupon and use it in a way to strip mine my entire website, so to steal all my books. And that was 25%. So there were like 20 people who had done it, and 5 of them had chosen to use the coupon in a way that stole everything. And when you're talking about, in comparison, I have 1,000 plus users who pay for my content, and I only get strip stolen from one of them maybe once a year. So you can imagine just the difference paying $2 is for just the quality of the people that you encounter. So anyone who's a non-member and you wonder why I'm increasingly locking more content, and why why you can't have nice things, why I can't give you free ebooks and stuff, it's because some of those people are just the worst. Even on Royal Road and Scribble Hub. I mean, you go on my Amazon, and most of my books are 4 or 5 stars. Just, fun, good reads. You go on Scribble Hub, they're like 2.8. I mean, it's just, and this, you get the worst comments and the most vitriolic insult. I've done this before. I go to Scribble Hub. I can show you, not Scribble Hub, Royal Road. And it's been a little better recently. Yeah, so some of this stuff's been a lot better, but like just the number of critiques needs an editor. So I've had 4 editors go through my Dungeon Life. I do not know these magical books that are just so well edited that they're comparing them to, because I've had more editors on those books. It's not as bad as it used to. I actually there was a time where there were 99% these 1-star, just vitriolic, this is the worst book I've ever read kind of stuff. So these kind of comments, a lot of them disappeared, and it's been a lot better, at least the last couple of months. But that's the kind of feedback I get from non-members, from people who aren't interested. And it definitely does put you in a mind, doesn't it? I got a lot of responses. I got 428. That's a good number for me. Previous years it had been dwindling, and I think this year I did a stronger push to get people to do my survey. So let's go ahead and jump into it, because I think we're already using a ton of time. All right, so these are the responses. I just kind of going to go through, and you can look yourself. Here, let me see if I can make it bigger so it's easier to read. Yeah, that'll help you guys. All right. How do you typically read my content? That's pretty basic. Most of the people, this is what I expect, most read it through Whatsawhizzer Wibbles. I'm actually surprised how many do it through Scribble Hub. That's a lot bigger number than I would have thought. I didn't expect anyone to do it from Wattpad. In fact, I didn't even advertise this on Wattpad. So maybe I would have gotten more commenters if I'd done it on Wattpad. But Wattpad's mostly for teenage girls, and I didn't want to be dragging too many underage people over to my site. If you can get what I'm saying. So that's why I didn't advertise it on Wattpad. I do write some stuff on Wattpad. That I do not put on my main website. Mostly it's around a self-help book for writing, which I do on the side, and most of my other stuff I brought over, like Hotness was a book I wrote over there, and it's popular over there. It does well. It did never really translate to very much money. This guy says Novelgate, and this guy says Renobis.net. So if you're using those, those are stolen. That's stuff that's been stripped from me. That's not actually a site I use. So, yeah, I guess. How do you usually look for announcements or releases? Just visiting. I like to expect most people that care about announcements are just visiting the site periodically. I put out a monthly chapter where I try to explain everything for everybody, and I mean that's really the best I can do. I mean, some people, I use Discord occasionally for announcements. Twitter, every time I put out a post, it gets announced on Twitter. Very few of you use Twitter though. I found I've started building up my Twitter, and it's only led to pain and suffering. So I'm not sure I want to keep with Twitter. But I have the recent posts at the bottom of the screen. These guys. Well, so I have recent posts right here, and that's every post I make. So it doesn't regardless of tier. I specifically started this one for just the tip tiers. I do not update it enough. It involves me manually editing things in order to update it, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. I try to do it, but I definitely, as you can see, have not been doing it regularly. Well, these dates are related to when it was released. These dates aren't related to these aren't in order, obviously. Here's November before or in October before November. They're not that. That's not what those dates mean. These dates are the order they're released, but these dates are not. How I sort this is a little different because it's what WordPress allows me to do. Basically, I sort it based on when I update it. So when I update it and add the tag for the just the tip tag, it'll become the top of the list. And yeah, I'm not that great at it. So that's really how it's been progressing. A lot of people use ScribbleHub only. If anyone from ScribbleHub is actually watching this, which I don't think very many of them will be, it's mostly there as a means of trying to get people to come to my site or be interested in my site. I'm sure there's a few people who get to my site and then run away because it I don't know, looks dark and scary. I do have people who've complained about that they want it to be a white site because to them this just seems more Euro. I used to have my site be red and black, and people felt that the red was too aggressive to use. So that was an interesting. Although if you want a white site, it's really not that difficult. You just light background there. You got a white site. I don't know. I like my color usage. I like the grays and the blacks. It's just a personal style thing. Yeah, I don't know if too many people. I have a whole handicap. A few people have praised me for this. They actually really like this. This is just an add-in. I don't have much control over it. I'd actually build something else if I had the choice, but this allows you to increase text size, do a light background, change the font if you're not liking the current font. That's always been there. for a long while now, and I would love to get a nicer one that works a little nicer, but it is what it is. These are also all the social buttons. I know half of you're using the phone, so it doesn't look like this at all. Um, but a lot of people miss these. Oh, by the way, if you need to find anything, the search is right here. I put it down there. I get the search because I'm I'm special. I'm the admin, so I can actually search right up here. But which you may or may not be able to see. But down here you guys can search, and all you have to search is my dungeon life, and there you go. Every my dungeon life search is right there. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. A few people who don't realize those features exist. How would you like the announcement system to improve? Like I said, there are a lot of limitations to what I can do, short of having someone build a brand new add-in with me. Most people are happy with what I have, or they use Scribble Hub. An active announcement page that sorts every book in tier. I've thought about this. I do, and with 63 people, I might do that. This would basically be a page. What the idea behind this would be, it'd be a page. I'd put it on the home page. It would be check the releases here. It might say something like that, right around here, and then you'd have a link, and that link would basically take you to a page filled with these guys, except they would be sorted by whatever is currently releasing. So this I could automate because I could attach it to the category. And since every single one of these has a category, I could have, these are the most recent Tales of Seductress releases. These are the most recent World of Women releases. And I could do that, and that could all be set up automatically. And I could even, use an image so that they look a little prettier and are sorted a little better. So that is 100% doable. And I could have the last 5 releases for each one of these. So I am going to build that page. I will do that. I think for 63 people, 15%. I think that's perfectly fine. Everything doesn't need to be the majority for me to decide to do it. If the alternative does not hurt you, like if you're not affected by me doing it this other way, and I can be a little more accessible to the other 10 to 20% of people, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't. Because I do want to try to make it as accessible as possible. So that is going to happen. I will do that, or I'll make my digital assistant do that, because that's what I pay her for. So if she's listening, add that to the list. Would you like to receive an announcement and explanation each time a chapter is not released on time? So my thoughts behind this, I've had some people complain because 9 o'clock will happen and they'll receive no notification. And I ask for 24 hours. I mean, I showed in my Q&A, I have a lot of very clear that I'm just a writer and I do the best I can. And people are like, well, why don't you just have everything written in advance? And I'm like, well, when I write things in advance, then I want to release them to you guys, and I want it to be in a benefit for people who are at the higher tiers. So when you're at the higher tiers, you're already receiving this stuff that would be hidden. And it's also a motivation issue. When I have to get a chapter out, I'm more motivated to push it out than when, I have a week, I don't have to get it done today, I'm just gonna be lazy. And so that's usually what happens when I have a long tier that I don't release and I don't put out and no one's expecting it. I just fall behind and I end up back where I started. But 28% of people seem to have this this notion that I really should be putting it out specifically at that time, or at the very least I should be announcing it. I do occasionally announce them on Discord. Sometimes my intent doesn't necessarily match what ends up happening, so I'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna get this out, early in the morning, so there's no point in announcing it because it's going to come out, and then I wake up at 11 a.m. and then I haven't written it at all, and then I'm like, well, crap, now I got other things I have to do, and so things don't always go by my intent, and that's why I'll miss a release or two, and why they'll fall behind, because it's never my intention to, but sometimes it just snowballs, and that's why it doesn't always get announced either. But I do, make announcements in Discord, and I've been doing that for a while. I stopped for a while, and then I'm starting to do it again. But even then, most of the people that want these don't even use Discord, so that then becomes the question: where should I be putting this announcement? There was a time the site was completely developed differently, and I had a side thing here that just has announcements, and then I would put the announcements right there, and that might even include something like this Q&A. I would have announced it and put it right there. The site's not built like that anymore, but I could have an announcement thing right here, and then just update the announcement. I kind of not nuts about it, but I don't know. If I make the homepage too busy, I mean, the more things I add, the busier it's just going to become, right? I don't know. I'll have to see if you guys want that or need that, the announcements. If anyone has any thoughts and comments, I'll leave them. It would, like I said, it would just be like a box, right here, above here, that would, just say announcements, and then I would write I'd post an announcement and delete them when they're no longer applicable, or maybe they would tally up using a widget or a plugin. The widget I used last time I didn't really like. I would try to have to find a widget I like. WordPress. I use WordPress to do this stuff. It involves these widgets. And that's how things like this work. They're just some kind of widget add-in that you put on the site. Believe it or not, I'm not a CSS wizard, and I don't design all this, through coding. I depend on other people who are much more knowledgeable about coding, because I don't know anything about coding. So mostly they develop plugins for me, and then I use the plugins in ways. But I am restricted a lot. I can't just do anything I want to do. It's whatever WordPress can handle. And when you try to be too complicated, you end up with these very slow load times and things like that. And it's a lot better now, but about 8 months ago, my site had reached a certain capacity, and it was getting to the point where the site would keep crashing. And you guys probably experienced that, where you get this white page of death, and it would just say something about the site being overloaded or something. And that happened a lot. But then I updated to a much larger cloud service, and that fixed that up. And I haven't seen much of that problem since. So that's a good idea. A different layout. Sorry, it was just Exodus89. You're saying trying a different layout between the sections so it feels more full. Well, I think the fact that I just have such a large screen makes it seem this way. If I shrunk the screen down, you'd see my background, which I'm not sure I want you guys to see. I don't think there's anything there, but yeah, whatever. It doesn't look as full when you're a cell phone probably sees it like this, or even just one image. So I don't know if that's necessarily a problem of fleshing it out more. It's only like this because I'm using a widescreen monitor and we're doing it in widescreen. It looks pretty crowded on a cell phone, which I imagine is how a lot of people are reading my work. Alright, back to this guy. Where do you want the status announcement? Same, people are saying at every page at the bottom of it. I'm still leaning. I mean, that voted more, but I'm still leaning that it might be just a homepage thing. If I could attach it to a widget, I guess I could put the announcement down here, and it would just be. But like I said, it's already noisy, and do you guys want it noisier? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's people voted for it. I mean, almost half of the response. So anyone who said this is just half of these guys. So anyone who didn't vote anything or just clicked would have ended up here, and then they got this answer. How many Whatsawhizzer stories have you read? Now, this was actually a little surprising to me, that so many read more than 3 of my stories. I thought it would be a lot more of just one. So it's good to know that you guys that most of you are reading more than 3. Because I think my entire membership service is built around that, you know. I'm not a guy who, you know, who just has one book and I dedicate all my time to that one book. I know MDL gets a lot more dedication than anything else at the moment, and it's certainly the flagship that's keeping me popular. And I think we'll see data to support that in a second. But yeah, it's good to see because the more books you read, the more advantageous the membership is. So if you got at least 2 or 3 books that you like, I think that's the great. I think that's what we want, or what I want, because I have a lot of books here to read, and even the ones I'm currently updating. Some of these guys and mostly these guys are what I'm focusing on right now, and then a few membership novels. But yep, I think that's good. That's more bang for your buck. If you're spending $5, but you get 3 or 4 books coming out, I don't think you have any problem. I can imagine people who are only doing only reading one book, and you're paying whatever $2 to $5 a month. You're like, well, that sucks because you're not writing fast enough. Well, I mean, I'm one chapter a week. I think is as much as anyone should expect, considering. But for any book series, for the ones that are going slower than once a month, you kind of understand they're not picked up. These are kind of lingering background stories that people are interested in, but were never officially picked up. And I'm not going to move to them because I'm trying to finish the ones that are currently, at the rise. Oh, by the way, I have something that you guys might want to see. Oh gosh. Let me see if I can bring it up. Little extra stuff for people who watch these videos that no one else gets to see yet. That'll be later. Here. Here's the new guy on a spaceship cover. I really like it. I think it's great. I wanted it to be like an old 1950s thing. I mean, because it's a comedy and it's about sex. The characters are a bit ugly, but then again, if you've ever seen a sci-fi 1950s, they rarely make the characters look that attractive. So I think it's fine. I think it's a lot of fun. I like it. But yeah, that's a new cover. The reason I made the new cover, by the way, is because on Scribble Hub, this is my cover. They don't let me use the sexy cover, this cover. They consider that too sexy for Scribble Hub. I can write, any kind of erotica I want, but don't show too much skin. So I needed to create a new cover to get this by the censors, so this is gonna be the cover. I like it. I mean, it doesn't match most of everything else I write, but that's kind of part of the charm. All right. How do you access my site? Yeah. So that's kind of giving you the example of how many of my readers that did the survey were free. Most free people wouldn't. Well, most free people wouldn't be big fans and wouldn't know a lot. So Obviously, the people who have invested money would be more likely to do a long survey than the people who wouldn't. So this part specifically comes if you're someone who wasn't paying. I wanted to know anyone who joined but then quit for some reason, because those are the people I want to know why you leave, what happened. There's some who just join periodically, so they'll join to save money the most. They'll join like once every 6 months, read everything, and then quit. And you can do that. I can't stop you from doing it. I think it's fine. I think if that's how people want to access content, that's their prerogative. What was the primary reason you left? Lack of money, very standard. That's fine. That happens to people. Slow releases of stories and joy. I can't really help it, If the story was popular enough, I'd be writing more of it, And I know it's a kind of a oxymoron, because you got, that's probably not even the right word, but, it's the more I release, the more popular it'd be, and then the more people would want it, so that I could release more, which is kind of how MDL, my dungeon life, got so popular, because I, did so many, and then it became the most popular because I kept putting out more. But then again, that doesn't always work. Like when It's Not Easy in Apocalypse, I released daily for a month straight, and while it did rise in popularity, it didn't get nearly as popular as some that I released far slower, like Automatic Girlfriend. Automatic Girlfriend seems to have a lot of popularity, and I have not released it very fast, and so that tells me, I like It's Not Easy. I wanted to write a story like that for a long time, and that's why I write it. And yeah, it has its fans. It's not like it's not popular. I'm just saying that compared to the output I put into it, you kind of gotta always do that kind of thought process. It's output to ultimate success or feedback or what you get back, and it's very hard to measure, because even if it's not everybody's favorite novel, it could be still worth enough for them that they like it and that they want it around. And then you even consider how well does it do on Amazon. It's Not Easy in the Apocalypse actually does pretty good on Amazon. It sells, so it makes money that way, where a lot of my other stories don't sell. It's the Brothel in the Apocalypse one, just another Brothel in the Apocalypse, that doesn't sell. I don't get very many sales on that at all, and neither does A Hero's Vengeance. But Apocalypse, It's Not Easy making money in the Apocalypse. That made a lot of money. That sells quite a few books. And I'm only have volume 1 out. I don't even have volume 2 out. So it's comparable to these other two that are only one. I mean, with MDL, when it has 14 volumes out, you're like, well, yeah, you're saturated the market. But yeah, for Apocalypse, it sells pretty well despite that. So I don't know. I'm not very good at it. I would love to find a marketing guru who understood all this stuff and could enhance my sales. I tried to do that a little bit. I got into a group of other erotic writers, and it was an invite only book group, but and that was interesting. I got to talk to these people. I did better than most of them. Most of them were not, very, very well off. They were like happy to make 4 sales a month, the kind of thing, where I make hundreds. But I ended up getting kicked out of the group. That basically what happened was Twitter. I said the wrong thing to the wrong woman on Twitter, and the person, basically the woman who invited me into the group, the woman who had founded the group, passed away. And I told you guys about some of this because I had helped sell books for her site, and then they gave the administrative rights to another woman who is just awful, and they ended up kicking me out because they didn't like what I had said to someone. I had made an incest joke. God forbid. I made a grammar-based joke because she said something like, "Let's eat grandma," and so I responded, "You ate grandma?" Just a dumb joke. And for some reason, her and her entire base just got enraged over Twitter, and I ended up, not only did she kick me out of the Discord server I was in just because she had the power and wanted to abuse it. And she wasn't the woman I said the comment to. It was her friend I said the comment to. She was offended on behalf of her friend. Not only did she kick me out of that, but then she tried to destroy the memorial story that was being written for this dead woman, because her husband wanted to write a memorial book, and then donate the proceeds to cancer. So she decided to cause trouble in that Discord and do a rage quit and basically try to get me canceled. And I was like, I can see the writing on the walls here. She has control of that other server, which all these people are from, and she's going to try to convince them all, that I'm horrible and create this storm of quitting. So I'm like, you know what? I'm out. I quit. And then I left. So my attempt to honor that woman, because I liked her, because she was respectful to me. She gave me the chance to be in there. But the second that other woman, got in charge, it was just like, I knew I was going to be kicked out eventually, because that's just Twitter drama. Doesn't really matter. Most of you don't even use Twitter. It's a hole of crap. I've been trying to build my Twitter base, and it's like about 600 people now. So still less people than are willing to give me donations to read my content. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know. I do want to get a larger social presence, and it's kind of funny that my business side of things does far well than my social side of things, because you'll have these people that'll have 50,000 Twitter's followers, and they'll have a YouTube, but then when you actually find out how much they're making, it's like very, very little. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know if I prefer to be socially popular versus how I'm doing now, because right now it's working for me. But yeah, I know some people say I shouldn't talk about it, that because I'm very forward or up. I'm doing great financially. I mean, you guys have really helped change my life. I don't think I'd be anywhere near where I was without the support and the incredible support everyone's provided me. I'm just in a great position. Physically, I'm stuck in a little condo, which is what I had moved into when I started my education, and it's just too small and too crowded and too cluttered. I do most of my writing in the living room. I literally have a desk where the dining room table is supposed to be, and it is just crowded and very difficult to work. I don't have my own office space. I don't have a place where I can get peace on my own, and so I'm trying to move, and we're hoping to move by next year. There are some shenanigans with taxes, and otherwise my money has changed to the point where I would where it's better to wait till next year to move. But I hope to get a nice place, and then hopefully my writing would be even better, because I'd have the room and the comfort and not have children tapping on my shirt halfway through writing an erotica scene. That helps. But yeah, and it's thanks to you guys. I just, like I said, I'm so happy that I'm in this situation, that I have the freedom to basically kind of do the things I want. I'm making that card game. It's moving forward. He's still drawing them. He's been getting a little slower. I found most illustrators, once you hire them the first time, and they'll be real quick, and then each subsequent time you hire them, they get a little slower and a little slower. Ibu Bey, who used to be my main illustrator, he's the one who does MDL. he used to pop out, one every 3 weeks, and now I'm lucky to get one every 2 months. And it's usually constantly, I'll get to it next week. All right, I didn't do it next week. All right, I didn't do it next week. But the problem is, other than the longer you use them, the more you need them, because all of your previous content was drawn by them, and they have their very particular style. I mean, nobody else draws like Ibu Bey. If I lose him, there's gonna be a style shock for my dungeon life. He's the one who draws each of these guys. So this is all drawn by Ibu Bey. I mean, I cannot find someone else to draw up like him. So he's only gone up to chapter 14 here. I do not have a picture for him for 15. Now, I've had him for a while now doing Tales. That's what he's been working on now. So he did this image, and he did the Tales of Enchantress image, this image. And now he's working on the Tales of a Demon Queen image. That's a trilogy, so once all 3 of those are done, they're done. I'm happy, moving on. But it's taken a long time to get these done, and I'm literally going to be working on volume 14. I'm working on this now. I just sent it to an editor, and the bonus chapter is going to be out soon. So once that's done, I don't have a cover for the next volume. So if he needs a break, I don't know. I can hire a new person. I can beg him, but even once he finishes the Tales of the Demon Queen image and then wants to work on and is willing to work on this image, it could take a month or 2. I mean, at least 2 months. So that's Illustrator problems. And like I said, I could hire someone else, but then we would have this big shock where all the art is going to suddenly change and look different from the art from before. And I do that, to an extent with the image galleries and stuff. But I don't know. The image galleries are done by a different artist, and I hope you guys kind of accept that. Now, well, let's get to the image questions. We can get to those image questions soon. What would you change for you to consider being a member again? Friend Zone becoming an official novel. There are so many, there are 4 novels I wrote around that. There's Friend Zone, which is a lot like Notori Master, which is a lot like The Devil's Snare. I had a desire, basically on Machine Slice Bread, which is where I started out. I can't even get there because it yells at me. But there's Enma, which was a story about a teacher who basically got demonic powers and controlled women, or controlled the students, and kind of took over. And I wanted to write a story kind of like that, but my own version of that story, and they're all about equally popular. There's some people love Friend Zone, other people love Devil's Snare, others love. I mean, they each have their own spin on the concept, and I have never gotten to settle on the one that people would stick with. So I don't know which story to write. Because they're all have their fan base and none of them, no one agrees on which one. Maybe on my next survey I should ask and try to figure out which one people like the most. Most people, it just seems to be they doesn't like Patreon. Well, you don't have to pay through Patreon. You could pay me directly. Oh, but through PayPal, credit cards, and don't think that. Well. There is no way to give me money without somebody taking a cut. Yeah, that's all businesses. Even Walmart. There's no way you could give Walmart money without Visa taking a cut. Well, I mean, you can pay in cash. I guess I don't accept cash, but you can. I do accept gift cards. If somebody wants to send me a gift card, I like Amazon or Steam, which aren't any better if you're talking about, media control or government or corporate control of of the message. But yeah, I do accept that. My limitations are it needs to be at least $10. Of 2 months of a $5 tier. I won't do with the $2 tier. I suppose I could, as long as it reached $10. But yeah, that's just contact me. I can set it up, and I can set up the timing. I'm not gonna do like a monthly thing for you. So just if you're doing it, kind of tell me what you do. Yeah, nobody's flat out saying anything too bad. The one I'm most worried about is dislike of the author. I mean, there is some people who say they don't like. I don't think anyone, right? No one mentioned. I know there's some people I piss off. There's some people who have gone on and on to say that I'm a mean person because I snapped at them once in a comment, probably because I felt insulted by something they said. I don't mean to. We all have moods, and sometimes, I don't have a PR guy. It's not like, it's just me. Sometimes I get on and I'm in a bad mood. And then I read somebody who's criticizing something for a like just some stupid reason. I get pissed and I respond in kind. And for some of those people, yeah, it's the only time you've ever commented to me. But you know what? I get 50 comments a day, so for me, you're just one of a massive thing, and you might be the fourth person who has made some obscure comment that just grates on my nerves. And so I especially don't like how a lot of people word questions, and I know it's my personal peeves, but like, if you're going to tell me that there's something wrong, just tell me that something's wrong. I dislike when people word thing, and I don't know if this is just a cultural thing. You know, Americans are more direct. But, you know, if you're going to just tell me something, just tell it to me. The people who are like, what is going on with this? I hate when you word a question, when you word a problem as a question, because it sounds patronizing in my ear, because it's just like, you know, is there a new person in the, you know, because I missed the letter in the name, so I put the name was wrong, or I got the name, like I mixed up the name from one character from one book with a character from another book, so I called Kira by accident or something, and it's like, is there another person in this book called Kira? And I just like, yes, that's the answer. Yeah, I wrote a magical character appeared for that exact sentence, and then disappeared again and was replaced simultaneously with another character. That's totally what happened. You know, it's just like, how am I supposed to respond to that? I mean, it's just like, I think you got the name. I think you meant Kia. If you said something like that, it'd be fine. But when people like ask these questions, it's just great. It's like, you know, nails on a chalkboard kind of stuff. Paid for an access level, and mid-tier random chapters were higher tier access level. Felt cheated and quit. I don't even know what that's referring to. If that's referring to the premium tier, I think most of the people who are angry about the premium tier just had no clue what the premium tier was and didn't listen to any of my newsletters and didn't listen to any of that other stuff and didn't understand what they're even mad about. That's what I believe. I don't, not for certain, but tried to join Patreon, but was not able to get the content of the site. That shouldn't be a problem anymore. My guess here is, once again, this is someone who didn't understand. This is probably someone who didn't understand that you need to use the code, and you need to sign up for a membership on my site, and then you just use the code. All it is a coupon code. Yeah, I mean, you get a coupon code, and you buy a month, and you buy a month of my membership. So on Patreon, every month you pay. And then on the first, at the end of the first, you get a new coupon code, and then you buy another month. So all you're doing is buying a month, you know, shopping cart style, and using a coupon code that gives you exactly off what it would cost for that month. So it's 100% free, and that's all it is. But I don't know why people get so confused about it, because it's, to me, that's, if you've ever done anything online, if you've ever purchased anything online, it's easier than Amazon.com. I'll give you that. Making an order, because I don't even need addresses or anything like that. But I don't know. So pay for access level. I think this one's just related to when I set up the premium tier. So anyone who isn't aware, I started a tier called the premium tier. That tier is connected to the poll. I realized I did not put one out last Sunday. I will come out this Sunday. I have the week off, 1 to the 7th. So it was going to be one of those Sundays. I was originally going to do it anyway, like have it run over and just have it be part of the premium tier. But I need a week off, guys. Come on, give me my week. Don't make me do the premium tier. So the premium tier, for anyone who doesn't know, I was already down there. This is not like people having locked content. This is extra chapters. So normally I write 5 chapters a week. Once a month I wrote an extra chapter. And that chapter was locked at the $10 tier. And when I got these 2 chapters, every additional chapter is locked at this tier. So if you notice, the early access chapters, these $5 chapters are growing. You're getting extra chapters. So people who are upset about the premium chapter tier are upset they're literally getting extra content. I mean, I don't know how else. They're bitter that they can't read the 2 newest chapters. That to them, they feel like they've been taken for a ride, because originally they could access everything, but these were extra. They were written on top of the schedule, and not only that, but once I built up 2, every time the poll votes for another My Dungeon Life chapter, which happens once a month, almost guaranteed, because My Dungeon Life is the most popular, then that chapter I do not grow premium chapters anymore. It becomes an early access chapter. So early access used to only consist of 2 chapters. It now consists of 4 chapters. It is growing, and every time you guys on the early access tier are getting an extra chapter. So you are getting extra content. And then you're angry about you're getting extra content because it isn't the most extra content. I mean, it's just and I presume the people who are most upset about it are people who don't understand that this is extra content that was not being locked away from. I mean, it's not I decide you're not getting. This is purely on top of the schedule for people who pay more. They get to decide on an extra chapter every week, and that ends up being the premium chapter tier. Now, some people just want me to wipe out the premium tier, and we'll get to those questions in a second, too. Maybe I should wait till then. But some people just want me to wipe out the premium tier and just have them added to the early access. And I'm kind of considering it, because it does make things easier for me. So everyone would have access. So the only thing that would be different is that every week the early access tier would grow. I might do another survey asking more specifically if people want that. I imagine most people don't mind. There are a few people at the premium tier or at the $10 tier and higher who have kind of this weird inclination where they want things locked, because then it feels like they're getting more. So like, I'm paying $10 and you getting you're getting a benefit when you're only paying $5. I don't like that. So I know there's so either way I choose is gonna piss somebody off, and I don't know. I am leaning right now towards getting rid of the premium tier, towards just getting rid of this and making these all early access. So I only have the 2 tiers to worry about, because worrying about 3 tiers is more work, and it does lead to more mistakes, and it is kind of a pain in my butt. But that's just That's just my thoughts on it. If you like having if you feel like if I got rid of this tier, then your $10 would be, you'd still get to do the poll, but we'll get to that question in a bit. How long have I been streaming here? I'm very lengthy. These usually go on 2 to 3 hours because I just keep rambling on. Yeah, at least I can talk. Well, we can give me that much. So, continuing with the non-member questions, would you prefer a buffer tier so every release is on time? I was surprised how many people said yes. They'd rather have tier chapters they did not see. So the idea of a buffer tier is basically having an early access tier for $5, and then so they would always get their chapter on time, and they would never not get their chapter on time. But it would mean that they're behind a chapter or two. That would be so all these free stories. I believe that's how I worded it. Let me make sure that I'm not confusing anything. Would you, locked chapters have a buffer tier of early access chapters. So when I am late on a release, the $2 tier usually gets it. However, for public chapters, I have no buffer, which means the chapter comes out when I complete it, whether it's late or not. I could put a $5 tier for the 2 most recent chapters, and then every release will be on time. A fourth of people wanted that. So that would mean for all of these free novels, they would all have an early access tier. And these are not the guys who are in a membership. These are the guys who these are free people. Free people want it. The people who aren't paying would rather the next 2 chapters be early access chapters, which would benefit anyone who's at the $5 tier and above. Not benefit, but wouldn't hurt. It would give you guys a benefit from the free chapters from these free novels that don't usually have one. But yeah, so I don't know. They seem to be where am I? I'm trying to find my way. How far was I? I was down here for a buffer. So yeah, I mean, a fourth of people wanted that, so I might do it. To be honest, I don't feel that bad for most non-members. If my content isn't perfect for you, it's mostly the people who are paying me that I want the best and the most reliable and everything. So all those people who are complaining, my free content isn't coming on time, I don't bite me. It's like you're not doing anything for me. So, I mean, most of them don't even put out any kind of advertisement. They don't click like. They don't write a nice review. They don't. In fact, typically they write worse reviews. They tend to be more critical of my work. They write nastier comments. So, non-members, you really do this to yourselves. I gotta say, yeah, cutting your own foot off here when how you treat your content creators. I mean, all the annoying things that businesses do, they kind of have to. I mean, you can't give stuff away for free to these people because then they're going to exploit it and steal from it. I mean, that's what happened to me. I was exploited and stole from. I tried to give you guys a free book, and I was robbed by 25% of the non-members who chose to do it. So before I brought down the survey and stopped it so that I would stop getting scammed. So really, it's just, I mean, I know 75% of you are fine. You're just normal people who just don't have the money or don't want to do it. And I respect that. And I understand. I'm a free person. I don't pay for content very often myself, which I know is a little hypocritical since I expect, or I hope other people do for me, because I very, very, very rarely support people with content. I'd buy books. I'd much rather buy books. But even that I do very rarely. So yeah, I admit that I'm not the greatest in that respect, but so I get from a free perspective, but you really gotta understand when you're not giving out anything, no one's, you know, if you're not going to even be on your best behavior, if you're not even going to be respectful to the people who are doing the content, I mean, you're asking for all these measures that are not too polite, that are not consumer friendly. So most of my consumer friendliness goes to my members, goes to the people who support me, because they really do support me. I mean, you guys, my family is doing well because you. I mean, before I started doing this writing, and even when I first started, people probably knew there was a time back when I was first transitioning into this, and I was still making barely just enough, and I had to give blood, and my kids couldn't have a lot of things and there was a lot of problems. There'd be some months where I couldn't pay rent, and I live in a condo my parents own, so not paying rent wasn't the end of the world, but it was difficult for a while, and the fact that I've gotten to this state that I'm able to put money away for college for my kids and save for retirement and all of that, it's really amazing, and I really appreciate it. And I've talked about it. I started teaching at a school. I got a job that's part time. I'm just teaching a science class. That's just because I want to keep my kind of scientific mind going, and I do like teaching. Teaching and writing are the two things I really like doing, and I have a lot of interest in public science education, and yeah, you guys have given me the room to be able to do that. I'm not going to stop writing. I don't believe it's going to get in the way of my writing. In fact, I was kind of hoping that having the schedule, being forced to align things to a schedule, would actually increase my writing, would improve it, because when you have everything set up to when I have to get up, when I have to plan this stuff, I think it's more organized, and everything's going to happen more reliably. So it's to keep me sharp. So the reason I am doing it is mostly for my own, building of my abilities, self improvement, that I wanted to become a teacher. Yeah. So I also felt like I needed to earn some money that was still on the grid. Because when you're completely 100% self-employed and all your money comes from these other sources, the U.S. government's really wonky with that. And I don't know. We'll see. Favorite story? Yeah, there's no surprise there. My dungeon life. I was surprised, man. The house is such because that one's gonna end soon, and that makes me afraid. Because once and you probably noticed I haven't written a couple of chapters last month, and that's mostly comes down to the fact that I reached a point where I wasn't that interested in how I wanted to continue, or I wasn't I wasn't certain on how I wanted to continue. I know how I'm going to finish it, but I kind of put in this extra arc here that I'm doing right now, the gaming arc. Just to give it a little longer before it finishes. Because once Man of the House finishes, I'm afraid there's going to be a sudden drop in my memberships, because if this is this many people's favorite novel, rarely is it a benefit financially or a benefit to I'm not rewarded by finishing stories. I mean, it's like the second you finish a story, you always think it's going to be some grand, nice thing. It's, an accomplishment, right? But all I see is a spike of people dropping because they're angry that story no longer exists. Even though it's done, and you think that would be the point. So I will complete it. I'm not dragging it out. Gosh, I already had some people, when I announced that I was going to be ending it, telling me that it was ending too soon and I was rushing to the end. So if one of you comes out and starts saying, "Oh, now he's dragging it out and keeping it," come on, guys. I can't be doing both. I'm finishing it when I finish it, and it'll finish. I have a plan. I know how it's going to end. I've thought about the ending. I know the ending's going to piss a couple people off, but I do have an extra ending or a kind of side ending or an epilogue that's going to, I think, be very satisfying. So, Man of the House, I think that's going to end. Probably not this year. It was originally going to end this year, but I think it will probably in January. I mean, it's very close to being over, especially if I write those 3 missing chapters, and then I have 3 more. Yeah, I think I only got about 10 chapters left. It should finish in January, at latest February. Second most popular, World of Women. No surprise there. Tales of a Seductress being third is actually kind of surprising. I mean, that's picked up, because Tales of the Seductress used to not be like one of my top. It used to be one of my lowest, and I had to really fight to get people to want to read the series. I mean, it was going against the grain to keep writing it, because everyone was like, "Oh, you should just quit it. No one reads it." And there was a very small base of people who were popular, or who liked it, and it was popular for them. And the fact that it's now third, I'm sure that's attributed to Scribble to the fact that I'm releasing it on Scribble regularly now. Tales of Enchantresses. That's just the power of releasing chapters publicly. Chapters I don't release publicly, like what am I not releasing? Enslaved. Enslaved is probably one of the most popular among members, but it's not being released publicly, so public readers. Same with World of Women. I mean, these used to be my most popular novels, but that's when the majority are membership. So that's the difference when you start adding non-members. Everything that I release, My Dungeon Life I released the most. Man of the House I released the second most. Tales of the Seductress third most. But even then, World of Women still up. But I actually have released some of that for free to the public. So there you go. That's why it's beating Enslaved by so much. But you can really see like the difference between releasing something publicly and releasing something, not so publicly. Because it's really I told people at the beginning of this survey. I told people I was thinking it was like the first thing I said. Please try to refrain from using the other option unless you absolutely have to. The reason for that, the reason I don't want you using the other option, is exactly because of that. None of these mean anything. I mean, that's useless data. That's what that is, because they write their own comment. Most of them I can't even read. And yeah, it's just. Oh, by the way, this is continued non-members. So this is specifically non-members. This isn't members, and so that's why I didn't have It's Not Easy Making Money in the Apocalypse, because it's completely locked right now. Enslaved is too, so I'm surprised Enslaved end up being mentioned at all. Did they have to write Enslaved? I'm not even sure if I had an Enslaved thing. Yeah, but these are only non-members. That makes a lot more sense now that I realize. I was just going on about how much they have to list, but that's because they are only non-members. Is only the people who are in this for non-members. What stories from my members only section interest you? This was interesting because this was kind of asking me what would attract people to my writing, and it seems like It's Not Making Money in the Apocalypse does. So all my talk about how Apocalypse didn't do his bell, it did something, But I think a lot of that's also because I released it publicly. The fact that Getty Lucky is doing so well, but it was never released. Was it? No, I released like the first 10 chapters at some point for free, and then I turned around and locked them later. When I decided it was going to be member. It was before I had a members only section. I was kind of deciding what I wanted to do with members only. Yeah, it's about half, maybe, of the people seem to be interested in some of the members, but non-members books. And that's kind of the point. The whole point is to get people to watch it. Why are you currently not a member? Can't afford membership. That's fine. That's perfectly fine for me. Content not worth it. If you don't think it's worth it, it's not worth it. I'm not offended. Content I want, not releasing to them. Like I said, I can't help that very much in most of these situations. Likely what they want is something so obscure, or the speed they want is not realistic. I mean, people see me releasing 100,000 words a month, and they get this opinion that I could be releasing 100,000 words of their favorite book, and that really is not how it works. Creatively, that's just I don't have that ability. I can write what I can write, and that's all I can really handle. I'm not that good. I mean, I can partition my brain off so I can write, this chapter one day and then this chapter the next day, and that's why I don't get tired, because I stagger everything. And so, it's a week before I have to think about this content again. It gives me a time to refresh, and my brain, creatively gets triggered by, one of the other stories, and it's this kind of building process. And so that works for me. But I can't just work on one story nonstop. I mean, when I first start a story, you kind of got this, it's new and it's fresh and the idea is fresh and you have the entire world to build. And yeah, I can pump out 50 chapters, really quick, which is what I did with MDL, which is what I did with its Apocalypse. But that's not sustainable. I can't, and even if I could do that, then the entire series would be done in 6 months or less. I mean, if I wrote, if I wrote Apocalypse daily, then I would finish 1 volume a month, and within 6 months the series would be done. I mean, I don't know how far I plan to get with Apocalypse. I actually don't have a long-term plan on that one, but if it was like 10 volumes or whatever, then it would be done, and then you'd leave, and then they take off. So they want, this constant, high demand thing, but it's just not sustainable. What I'm doing now works for me. I mean, I'm able to partition myself up. I do occasionally get drained on certain books. Last month, my Dungeon Life, I was a little bit drained on. That's why the chapters fell behind. Other than the fact that I was sick, I've written a lot of good volumes recently. I think the last 4 or 5 volumes were really good. They're some of my favorite. But just with this volume, I've kind of reached a point where I'm a little tired of it. And so I slowed down a little on the writing. And I'm still thinking I might need to drop down to 3 times a week and pick something else up instead. Because I'm just a little tired with my Dungeon Life. I've been writing for 2 years straight. 15 chapters a week. I think that I could afford to slow down a little bit on it at this point, which will probably anger people off, especially since it's one of the most popular stories on my site. Anyway, I don't want to. I don't care. Yeah, you could not want to. The website doesn't work for me. I wish people who had that issue would contact me, and I could try to work on solutions for them. I didn't realize you had so much content. Well, I hope now you do. Maybe you'll become a member. I didn't know you had a site. Yeah, I mean, that's part of why I do this survey, is to convince people. I've actually, my Patreon and membership grew pretty good last month because of the survey. Because people, did the survey and like, holy crap, he has 15 books. And and when you realize, when I call myself Whatsawhizzer web novels, it's not just me inflating my ego. I have quite a lot. I got enough that you could call me an IP. I didn't originally when I started, but it's built to that point. And, you know, this has all been built within about 3 years now. So imagine in another 3 years how much content I'm going to have. I don't even know if this sorting will be able to hold it. It'll be down to a year maybe. No, probably not. Because I'm finishing novels. I'm going to be finishing novels. And I'd like to get, Moth is going to be done. Tales of a Demon Queen is going to be done. I'm not well, we'll get to that in a second. But you see all of these, I mean, half of these I can't even read the whole comment. I mean, they get cut off. And so it's not super helpful when you use other, because I'm trying to look for broad patterns here. And I do give people room to explain. So that's why I've tried to avoid other. People didn't listen and did it anyway. Because they all want their... I'm too poor. Well, why did you need to put other and say I'm too poor when you had, I can't afford membership? I mean, how did that... But anyway, that's just me complaining about the server. Because these are all useless. Every time you select other, you're basically selecting a useless option. Once in a while, someone will say something really smart, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. But come on. I'm too poor versus can't afford membership. Come on, guys. Come on. Anyway. If picked up as a weekly release, which non-regular single story might encourage you to donate to continue. That's... Nothing will. I expect it. Yeah, most people do. But what's the big one? Incest on an Island. And that's kind of the big, hey, I should pick up Incest on an Island. It's not going to be a long novel, by the way. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, you got to pick up. Well, but it's already a fourth done. I don't intend it to be, 100 chapters. I mean, and you're like, what? You're only going to do 40 or 50 chapters? I'm like, yes, I'm going to only do 40 or 50 chapters. And each chapter is 3,000 words. You're talking about 150,000 word book here. I mean, we're talking about, an average novel's 80,000 words, by the way. I think you guys get a bit spoiled by the word count of stuff. I mean, this is going to be a large novel. It's going to be the equivalent of a saga. It's bigger than one of the fatter Harry Potter books. I mean, it's a big... I mean, I'm writing a lot here, but it's like, but only 40 chapters. It's just like, come on. And yeah, I know once I pick this up, I'm going to get a surge of people donating, and then those people, the second it's done, are going to take off. So that's demotivating, but it is my plan for Incest on an Island. There's a set number of girls. He's already moved through, a third of them. I mean, the book has a very specific path it's going to follow. I say it's going to be 40 to 50 volumes. I usually take more than I say I'm going to take. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was 60 or 70. But this is not going to go on and on and on and on. And I'm not going to write Incest on an Island 2, Volume 2 or whatever. This is a book that's going to, beginning to end, finish. And that's my plan for it. And when you say you're disappointed or you're unhappy, I mean, that's really demotivating. I mean, you gotta, why even start Incest on an Island if you're already depressed because of that it will have an end. Just the acceptance that it will have an end, and that's enough. People are telling me that it's disappointing or depressing. I was just like, how do I respond to that? Anyone got any clues? I have no clue. But yes, I would like to pick up Incest on an Island and get it, and because it is a clear story that's going to finish. I actually thought Automatic Girlfriend would be a little higher on this list. I think, once again, we're in the non-page member section, so these people can read this for free. They can't read Automatic Girlfriend, so that's the only reason Automatic Girlfriend isn't doing higher. So now that we're moving on to Patreon and membership, I think most of you are going to be gonna find this more information. In the past, I would always go specifically through the membership questions. I would never go through the membership questions. That's probably gonna make this an extremely long stream. But now that but I think it's important to see how non-members are saying things should be as well. So now we're on to Patreon. This is the Patreon. If you selected membership, you would have been taken straight here. You would have skipped all those other questions, and then you would have had your first question. How do you feel about the code system? Most people are fine with it. Most people find it an improvement. Even a couple people depend on it because the old one didn't work. A very small percentage of people prefer the old system. So I still want to improve it and make it better. I know this is biased because this is people who are still members of Patreon, and all the people who are unhappy with the system mostly already left. So yeah, so this is only the people that have stayed behind. So I know this is biased, but it was nice to see that there's no one is seriously considered dropping. But that, I presume, is because they've already dropped. I've had it for 2 months. Anyone who hated the new system would have left it by now. And, you don't have to use Patreon. You could use my website. And if you don't like my website, you don't like PayPal, you don't like Stripe, you don't like Patreon, I just, there's only so many options I can give people, right? You could even, like I said, then most of these people don't even know it, but you could give me a gift card and I could manually set it up because I have my current membership program. Yeah, I can do that. So you are welcome to jump in anytime you want. Why do you use Patreon over FFA? I just like to get people's reasoning. I think this is the main reason. I donate to other Patreons, so it's convenient. I mean, that makes sense to me. You only get charged once a month, and then you pay out to 3 or 4 different content creators that are your favorites. I think a lot of people do that. I'm also, I get it, because I've had issues. Like I said, 9 or 10 months ago, I had malware on my site, and somebody was trying to strip the credit cards. Because of that, I put a warning on my site when you try to your membership. Let's see it right here. No, I did. Oh, in the store, it was the storefront. That's right. Check out, which is empty unless I put something in it. Oh, do you see the new storefront? I like these. These are the links to the storefront. You can go to ebooks, and then you can pick your ebook. So if I want enslaved chapters, boom. I like it. That needs to be changed. I gotta tell her to change that. But if I add a cart, so I don't. So I've recently had some issues. I was trying to use Printify, which is a print-on-demand service. Basically, I create a product, and then I put that product on a T-shirt or whatever, and that's how I made my calendar. But but nobody had ever purchased any. So even though I've had a few items up for the last month, the calendar was the first time anyone purchased anything, and it was a disaster. So I had 2 people buy a calendar. And then nothing happened. Printify did not send the order out, and none of it worked. And I found a couple things. I found out I have to set up a shipping system, which changes for each item. So every individual item needs to be set up differently. That sucks. And then I don't know. Let's add this to cart so I can view cart. So I have this in cart. I get an automatic. If I proceed to checkout, I do not ask for credit card information. All payments handled through PayPal. By the way, this is part of the reason I don't want to add Stripe either, because if I added Stripe here, then you would have your credit card information asked for, because you would need that if you were going to choose Stripe over PayPal. I don't know if people want their credit card added to this. It would be the same as my memberships, because my memberships have Stripe as an option. But the malware was really malicious. Basically, when you click this, it would cause a screen to come up here, and it would ask you for personal information. And if you entered that personal information, then it was sent to some third-party source. I tore that down quickly. I fixed that within like a day or two, but there was a brief period where that happened. And like I said, it happened because I had let some technician from Fiverr have administrative rights, and he had loaded a virus onto my computer. Intentionally or not intentionally. He claims he had no clue, but it only happens whenever I invite somebody on my computer. So that was a leak that happened. So I understand. I mean, that was the point I was trying to make. You know, how quickly I ramble. But I understand if you don't trust the site. There's not much I can do about it. Everything is handled through a third-party source. If you do PayPal, it's handled through PayPal. You're not trusting me. You're trusting PayPal. My site. I mean, the worst thing that'll happen is that you'll pay PayPal and then you won't get access. And then you can contact me and I'll give you access. And if you don't contact me, I mean, you can still file a credit dispute with PayPal, and then I can resolve it. I mean, that's the worst thing that would happen. I don't have your money. I don't get your information. The second you place the order, it's going to take you to the PayPal site. I mean, there's nothing to distrust about that. The only thing to distrust is if it tries to ask you for personal information, which I don't ask for. I mean, all I ask for is an email address to be able to send you the content. Nothing else. So if you don't even trust me with an email address, you can put a fake email address. You don't even have to put a real one. But then I'm not going to be able to contact you. So that's on you if you do that. Yeah. So I don't ask for anything. So there's nothing I can leak. So there's really not much of a trust issue. I get it. I mean, it's hard to trust a random website, but I don't have any of that. Even with when it's Stripe, the information goes to Stripe. The information doesn't go to me. I don't have your credit card information. I don't have the ability to charge you. I can't do anything. Basically, the way the membership's set up, you give me the money, and then I give you you give me the money and I give you the membership. So I'm not billing you. I'm not taking the money from you. You set up in your account a recurring payment plan in your PayPal, and you can go to that plan at any time and cancel it. And then that money is sent to me, and then I check to make sure that's money. So I'm not taking money from you. I'm not charging your card. Your card is set up to do a recurring charge that comes to me. It's all in your court. It's all in your court. The only thing I do is I verify that the payment arrived. And and yes, there has been issues where the verification hasn't worked and you don't get membership. But I've managed, anyone who's emailed me, I managed to fix it within a day. On a scale of 1 to 5, how happy are you with your membership? I do wonder, people ordering 1, 2s, or 3s. Chapters on time and better announcement system. So yeah, this is the things people have been talking about. This is kind of what I've been thinking about. More attention to Guy on a Spaceship. Yeah, I'm bringing it back this next month. Obviously, I have the new cover. I'm going to be adding portraits for all the girls. That's going to come after my Apocalypse portraits are done. So I have a guy who's been working on my Apocalypse portraits. Let me see if I can bring some of them up for you. These are in progress. They're not finished. So I don't know if you're going to be interested in them or not. But here's an image of Katarina. Here's an image of Red. MC. Daniel. But yeah, so those are gonna be done, and he's doing them all in a giant block, and he's getting near being done with them. So I'll have those released soon. That'll be the Apocalypse Gallery, and then I will work on Guy on a Spaceship Gallery. I already got Moth done, so it'll be Moth. Then that. Enslaved, I wanted to hire a better artist to be a top one. The guy who was working on the covers turned around and quit on me and basically ghosted me. I have not managed to get back in contact with him. He when I did he did the Dakamura, the pillowcase images for Watch Hand, and I was trying to get him to do the eye in a different way, and then he got offended by it, because I was trying to do right by you guys by making sure the image was important, and I guess he just doesn't want to work with me anymore. If he was too offended that I questioned his eye drawing ability. I didn't question it. It was one of the other people who helped me with illustrations, because I don't have a very good eye for illustrations. I'm honestly happy with just about everything. So the anal retentiveness, some of you get to. I need a better eye for that. So I tend to listen to other people's advice and don't really take my own. Because to me, most of it's fine, and we'll get to the illustrations in a second. Don't shy away from fucked up stories. I do. I don't think that's going to change. I'm not going to do too fucked up. I personally, I like to have a happy ending for most stories. There are one or two darker stories I write, and they don't do very popular. So generally, I think it's just a fan question. Because when it comes to something like what was it? NTR Isekai, that's a very dark story. Or Please Help Me. They're generally not very popular. They're very dark stories. They're intended to be pretty screwed up, and they were mostly not read by my fans, and a lot of them just didn't like it. At least the ones that leave feedback. So I don't have any particular incentive to do that, and I'm not that. I say I'm not a fan of reading that stuff. I don't really like dark stories. I like happy stories. But when it comes to writing, it's kind of fun to do fucked up stuff just because it's more interesting. So I do like writing NTR. It is fun because it's just something you don't usually do. So I do have a bit of fun writing that stuff, getting in that dark place and doing some of that stuff. So I won't say it's like not doesn't have some enjoyment, but it's not what's popular. It's not what gets reinforced. So, and no late chapters ever. Well, I'll try. I'm gonna try to build a buffer again. I've slipped. I know. I was doing it better when I first started. I had that 9 p.m. thing, and I was making sure every chapter came out at 9 p.m. And then after 3 to 4 months of doing it, I kind of just started slipping, and then it got to the point where everything was late by at least a couple hours. I guess I can build up a better system for that, of making sure things are in time. I know I've slipped. Financially, more stuff related to Guy on a workshop. Yeah, when I put Guy on a Spaceship on pause, I think I did lose a lot of readers. The membership is fine. More content of interest to me. That's so vague that I wouldn't be able to do anything. More work from the slave author. Haha, I get it. Writing plot and grammar improvement, but that will come with time. That's kind of a douchey thing, because that's just like, I'm already, a very, very popular author. The whole, you'll get good eventually. It's kind of like they had J.K. Rowling when she finished Harry Potter and she wanted to move on to the next thing. She decided she didn't want to write it as J.K. Rowling because she knew everyone would be looking at it through that lens. So she wrote a book using a different pseudonym, and when it came out, the reviews came back, and it was like, for a first-time author, she was okay. And it was just like kind of this patronizing thing to basically one of the richest and most successful authors in the UK. And that's kind of what I feel about this comment. I'm like, it's coming from somebody who does not realize, what I've been putting out, how many people get how many editors I've had. I mean, just that on some of these stories, because every story that gets to the point that it's on Amazon has had 3 editors besides myself go through it to try to fix up the wording. So at that point, I can't tell you how I can improve grammar beyond that. As far as being a better writer or being a better plot, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, this is what I write. I usually have specific plans for it. Some stories do get stretched out a little because of the fact of how I'm writing them. You're always going to find, a self-contained book to be more refined than, my web novels. But that's kind of the charm of web novels. It's that episodic, continually growing story that builds. It has a lot of unnecessary plots and stories that may not necessarily go anywhere. But to me, that's part of the charm, right? But I don't know. So I don't, it'll come with time's already happened. If you don't think I'm a good writer, then I ain't gonna become a better writer. I don't think anything's gonna change. And then the people are like, well, if you wrote less, you would be they'd be like, no, that's not. I can't. I mean, it's not the fact that I write 100,000 words a month that like I only have so much creativity in the world, and that I'm exceeding that limit, and so the creativity is magically being distributed out amongst all the books. And if I just concentrated the creativity into one book, I mean, that's not how it works. I don't have that ability. I write when I have ideas, and I have a lot of ongoing plots and stories that are going good. And sometimes I have an idea that works. Sometimes I have an idea that just didn't work as well. But you know what? It's a web novel. I can't just axe what I've already written. So I kind of work with it. And that's a creativity. That's fun in its own way, So, yep. That's all I have on that. But otherwise, unless I get another writer on board, so getting a second writer writing other books and becoming something like novel translations, probably won't. I don't think I'll get a second writer on board. I've looked at co-writers. The big problem is just you'd have to trust them to be able to continuously put up, content and be at a certain level. And I've had problems with content creators in the past, so I don't really trust that. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. What tier level is your membership? I just wanted to know where you stand. Also, I can sort things out, so if I can see what people's opinions are based on what they donate. I've traditionally found that the people who are in the higher tiers tend to be less demanding. So the free the public readers tend to be the most demanding, the most entitled. Once you pay $2, it's a little less. And then by the time you're up to $15, these tend to be the least demanding people. You think the ones that have the most right to demand, the $100 donators are actually tend to be the least demanding. They don't ask for anything. They have the right to ask for an extra chapter every month, and they don't. And that's a really good thing, because honestly, if I had 5 or 6 people, how many does it say are here? At least one hand solo did this. If he if I had everyone who was a one-eyed monster making a request for me to write a book, and everyone who was a hand solo having an extra chapter, that would be all I'd be doing, is writing those. It would just be so much work. So I give them the option of requesting chapters, but I'm very glad that they don't, because it probably wouldn't be enough, or I probably wouldn't be able to keep up with it. Chronic Masturbator. These were questions specifically for people at the $5 tier. I was mostly just asking what they felt about the $10 tier, the new one, the premium tier. Questions I asked on Patreon that seemed to be positive, that most people thought the premium tier was fine. I wanted to explain it because a lot of people don't read my newsletters, so I mostly use this question to introduce the tier to them and get them to understand what it is and why it exists. But also, if there's any problems, coming out, I just wanted to make sure. And there are people that are upset about it. It looks like, as much as 10% of people feel angry and scammed that it exists. And so if I got rid of that tier and moved it down to early access, these people, if they read My Dungeon Life, they're literally getting extra chapters. If they read Apocalypse, they're literally getting extra chapters. This is a tier that is benefiting them, but they're still angry about it just because it doesn't work in the way they wanted. I don't know. For most people, I'm hoping they just, are happy with it. I don't really know, like I said, other than getting rid of the premium tier, but it's just so silly to me, because it's like, you are benefiting from this. You are getting extra chapters. It's just, the rage is completely from FOMO. It's just the fear of missing out. Because, and then they're not even missing out. They have to wait. It's delay gratification, and that's the anger. And I can get rid of the tier, but am I going to piss off a bunch of premium people who started paying $10 because they had to do that to contact? And isn't going to cost me money. That's the important issue right there. I don't want to end up, losing a bunch of money because people that were at the $10 tier said, oh, well, I don't have to be at the $10 tier if everything's at the $5 tier. I'm going to drop. And will that be equal to the people who rage quit because they were unhappy that there was this? And the funny thing is that they still can't read everything. There's still the $15 tier for the ebook chapters, and they can't read that. So if you wanted everything, you had to be at the $15 tier anyway, and these people wouldn't have been affected by the introduction of the $10 tier at all. So I don't really know how I want to progress with that, But because even with the delayed gratification, once you get 2 chapters, you're getting an extra chapter right away every time it comes out, and your early access tier is building, and you're getting free chapters. So it benefits the $5 people. The only people that get screwed, which is to say not affected at all, are the $2 people, because they're not affected at all. There's nothing. These are extra chapters. They're not being taken away from you. They are me working harder. And then there's, and this is a fair point, the fear that because I'm working on these chapters, I'm missing scheduled releases. I don't believe that is what's happening. And you say, oh yeah, you've been missing a lot more releases the last couple of months since you introduced the premium tier, and that's true. I have, but I don't think it's from the premium chapters, because at that time the thing the premium chapters have stopped me from being able to do is write the ebook bonus chapters. I haven't had time to write those because I've been doing the premium. Those are the chapters that I've been behind on. And that's why I haven't gotten an ebook out in 1 or 2 months, is because I kind of reached my limit with doing the premium chapters. and so that was making it harder to get my ebooks done. That, and some people have been buying extra chapters from me on the side, and I usually put some prevalence on someone who pays me flat out for an extra chapter. So that happened too. But I do understand the sentiment that extra chapters are causing the miss of releases. I don't feel that's what I'm doing. I try to keep my releases up. I always miss 1 or 2 chapters a month, just because it's 30 days straight of releases, and give me a freaking break. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. The idea that it's that you want that consistently, permanently for 364 days a year, I don't know. I try my best. I'll try a little harder to get everything out at the 9 p.m. because apparently people have decided, even though I've written warnings that this is just, my plan and not a guarantee, that people expect as a guarantee. So I'm going to give my best, because I don't know, no amount of reaffirming it is going to change people. That's what people see the second they get there. They see this schedule, and I guess they accept that schedule, and then that's what they depend on. And I can't dispel that myth short of just throwing out the schedule entirely. And I don't want to do that because it's my schedule too. And I don't want to, hide it, just put the schedule behind a wall, and then anybody who wants, so people don't know when anything's coming out, and it just comes out willingly. I mean, that's how a lot of other writers go. I've been told, from other people who donate to other writers that it's a crap show compared to what I do. It's a mess, but I don't know. I'll do my best to try to improve upon it. It's just kind of a growing. The biggest problem is that I'm at the limit of my ability to write. So if I have a bad month where I'm just not feeling like it, I'm going to lose a lot of chapters. And then you have the month where I'm feeling really optimistic and I write a lot of extra content, and that goes to not really being cared about because it's content. It was extra content that whatever that person didn't particularly want or didn't care about. So it's kind of like the negatives show up in people's minds more than the positives, and that's the usual case. It's goes both ways. When someone writes a negative comment, it hits me harder than any positive comments. And when I make a mistake and don't release something, it hits you guys harder than all the extra times I have written extra or done something extra. I'll do my best. That's all I can really say. If you don't like, I report every month exactly what I do, and if people don't like it, you are entitled not to donate. I don't require it. It's not a demand of me. I hope people support me, and so that I can continue to do it, and I'll continue to do my best to help you guys and please you guys. So that's really it. Should there be a $5 early access tier for otherwise free stories? I asked the same question for them and got about the same answer. Yes. This is a little higher. It's 40% versus 25%, or a fourth. 2/5 versus a fourth. I'm thinking about it. I'm still not convinced I should, but I'm thinking about it. It'd be adding a $5 tier to these guys. I already have for this one, technically. This technically isn't a free novel right now because I have locked content. I just don't know where else to put this. I really don't. I'd like to put a banner right here, or down here, or something, just a comic banner that's advertising it so people know that I have the comic, because right now it's not in this list. The reason I haven't done that is I got the art made. I can't find anyone to Photoshop a good cover. I've tried multiple times to get people to Photoshop it, and no one, and I just have not found someone who's willing to do it. The guy I have do most of these covers has sort of backed off a bit, and he only really does the ones that move him personally on a personal level. So he's selective on the work he's willing to do for me. So the other stuff I get done by another person. The one you just saw finish was done by that other person, and she does a good job, but she occasionally gets confused, and some of the things I want done come out very difficultly. So I'd like to get a new. In fact, that's probably Guvershi, one of my illustrators, just finished. I'm probably gonna have him work on this next. He'll do a reincarnated cover. I'm gonna have him. I was trying to think of what I wanted him to do next. Moving on, how do you guys feel about the release schedule? The releases are fine. I hope most people understand it now that I explained it. I believe you miss releases because you're concentrating on other stuff. I don't. It's not a matter of... I mean, yes, it's a matter of me working on other stuff, but I'm working on that other stuff not because of deliberate need, but because I can't. I mean, I just can't work on Enslaved. I could sit there, stare at the screen, and wait 6 hours, or I could move and get, four chapters of my Dungeon Life finished. And it's just like, which should I spend my time on? Not doing anything because I'm creatively I'm not, mentally figuring it out, or what, right? All right, the nature of early release says buffers should be clearer. I don't know how to make it clear. Like I said, it's in my Q&A. I mention it multiple times. And it's not. It is. They were formed as a buffer, and I do consider them a buffer, but no one treats them like a buffer, and neither do I. I try to treat it as, yes, you definitely need this chapter released. And I try to catch up on them, and I don't like falling behind on them. But yeah, so nobody treats them like a buffer. It's just what it is. As late as I look at the bottom of your site, it appears as if it's on time, and I might know when the chapter is. If you're talking about these, I mean, if that's out, it's released. It's not late. Once it's released out, once it appears here, this is the main thing that lets you know it's out. I mean, nothing else is as accurate as this, because once it's released, it's this. The tier changes are a little less reliable, because I don't have any easy way to mark that. I would have to go back manually and edit every single one, and I'd have to edit in person. For some reason, WordPress does not allow you to schedule changes, and I don't understand it at all. It is the dumbest thing to me. So if I have a post, so I post, a chapter, and I want to schedule a change so it happens at a certain time, it won't do that. It will yank down the post, and then it will bring it back up at the time that you delayed it to. And that's the only way it works. And I've even looked for plugins. Maybe I should hire someone to build a plugin that does it. Because to me, that's just the most basic thing, is that you put a post up at 9 o'clock in 3 days. I want it to update with something else. I think it should do that. And it can be anything from metadata to content on the thing, but they don't do that. They build it into this odd way where you get some stuff blocked, and yeah, it's a mess. I don't know how to fix it. I could look into somebody building a plugin for me. But the guy who started building some of my plugins, he took off. He's not really working with me on content right now. He's doing other things, so that's why I haven't got any more plugins made from him. And he was a good person because he was willing to work on the plugins without me giving him full keys to my website. And most of the others just they want to be full control of your website. They want the administrative rights, and then a week later I find malware on my site and it's crashing. So, and then they say, "Oh, it wasn't me. It's just you. You don't have the security or something." Yeah, sure. That's every time my site has crashed, it's right after I gave someone administrative rights. I'm sure that's totally me that's causing these issues. But so yeah, anything I want to fix with the site is going to involve letting somebody's fingers into the pot, and I'm worried about that. How do you feel about the current release system for just the tip? I think it could be better. I'm glad most people don't seem to. No, the release system's fine. The announcements, I think it needs to be better announced. But the system should be working like clockwork now. So even if it doesn't show up on this just the tip releases, it is being done. Every month I've started to tell my my digital assistant. She goes through all of the works and she makes sure that the tier changes will occur on time. So every month it gets fixed. So this, if I look at Getting Lucky here, it should have exactly the time that should unlock just the tier in 91 days after September 1st or September 12th, which hopefully will be next Sunday. or not next Sunday, but the Sunday after. I'm not going to do the math, and if the math is wrong, then she did the math wrong, and we can blame her. But yeah, they should be occurring a lot more reliably now. Yeah, and that's stupid too. Couldn't I just set a date? Why couldn't I just set a date? Why do I have to do 91 days later? I mean, it's just such the way the WordPress forces you to do things. It's just so dumb. Because basically the way I do it is that I give access to each of these tiers, but then I have an add-on that I had to get specially made because they didn't have one that did this. So just to do this locking thing, I had to pay like $300 to get somebody to do it. And basically, you set the number of days that it'll be delayed. So if I set just the tip, and it'll be delayed by 91 days. So only after 91 days from that original post date will that become unlocked. And it's 91. Usually it's not that complicated. Usually it's not 91 days. I mean, for most things, it's like, Enslaved here. I mean, I only have one chapter right now that's in early access because I've been really behind on my Enslaved chapters. So I would only have to write 7 days for that before that releases. But when you're talking about Getting Lucky, I just have such a large early access chapter that it turns out to be just tons and tons and tons of days. And because each one of these would be a week. So this would be 7 days, this would be 14 days, this would be 21 days, 28 days, or whatever. It wouldn't be 7 days because this would have released 91 days ago. Which like I said, you have to do the math, and it's so stupid you have to do the math. Why can't I just select the date? That would make everything much easier. And you can select the program literally. This is just me griping over just how dumb this whole thing is built. But you can select the date when it comes to restriction timeouts. So this is a different add-on. This is not the add-on I had built. This is a different one. But in this one, you can select the date. And when it hits that date, you know what happens? It changes this. So that becomes everyone. So this works perfectly. This works exactly how I'd want this to work. I don't even know if you guys can see it because I stretched a little, so I'm kind of... You might not even be able to see what I'm pointing at. Yep, it's going to be done like that. I'm pointing at that. That's my little work bar. Right here. When you're using this will make things free. So when this date passes, that chapter will become free. That works perfectly fine. But when I block a tier, when I delay a tier, I can't set a specific date. I have to set delayed release 91 days. And yeah, to me it's the dumbest thing. But but the other thing is that's always there. That delayed release will always be there until I personally go in and exit out. So unless I manually do the updates myself, it'll always be there. Where once the restriction timeout happens, it works like clockwork. It disappears, and that becomes everyone, and you're good. I don't know why we can't set the other one up to work that way. I've had multiple people look at it and try to work on it. I'm too dumb to know what I'm doing with that. But I don't know. Has the reliability of the fighter tool? I hope it has, because like I said, I put her on it. Only no one's noticed apparently that she's been manually making sure the things update perfectly. They should update at 9 o'clock perfectly. The $5 to $2 tier and the $10 to $5 tier should be like clockwork for almost everything. There might be one or two books that she's not hitting that I do manually, and maybe I'm not perfect with it. But for the most part, those tier changes should be happening. So for anyone who's on just the tip, your releases should happen at 9 a.m. And they unless I haven't released in 2 or 3 weeks, like Enslaved, where I completely screwed up there. As long as my releases are happening reliably, then you should be good. You should get all of your releases exactly on time, even if they're not announced. They're done. That's the point I was trying to make before I started ranting about how dumb it is and how complicated it is and how easy it is to mess up. That's why it's messed up. And by the way, you're also told when there's a tier change. So if you I don't even know if I can do this right now. I'll probably not. But if I was logged out and I went to a chapter that was locked but had a tier change set up like this one, you would have some text right up here that would tell you the exact date that it will release. So if you're in a $2 tier and you are trying and you want to know when the story's coming out, it will tell you. You will know the exact date it's going to come out. And if you feel that date is wrong, just throw me a message, and I'll check into it and see if I can fix it. Like I said, I just showed you how easy it is to be wrong, so hopefully you'll check it out. Moving on to images, finally, that's the big question. Character portraits, erotica, Neki, that's basically what I've been concentrating on, and it seems to be what most people are interested in. Very few people are interested in the environments, the actions, technical stuff, or even the monsters that you're going to encounter. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep focusing on these. I got someone doing the portraits for an affordable price, and I'll keep doing that. Are you satisfied with the current images from each story? This I wanted to see if anything kind of shot up. I'm honestly surprised with World of Women that there weren't more people demanding consistent images, because World of Women is the most inconsistent. I had many different illustrators working on it at many different times, and I've thought about having one person go through and redo all of them, so that they're at least a consistent quality. I don't see too many that people just don't want or are finding consistent. I'm also surprised people aren't asking for better quality image than Power of Creation. I mean, if you, well, if you, I mean, I don't know why you'd want more images, but I could see you wanting better quality images. I mean, how many images are there for Power of Creation? I literally have every girl drawn. I have every girl in an erotic scene. I have 5 erotic scenes per volume. I don't see how I could do more with that. But seems most people are generally satisfied. My Dungeon Life seems to have the largest demand for more images, next to Enslaved. Getting Lucky, I don't see. I mean, maybe erotica images, but I've already done a portrait for every girl. So I don't really know what you want more for Getting Lucky. So yeah, I don't see any specific particular trend here. My Dungeon Life people get more images than anyone, and they're still not satisfied, want more images. At least most of you aren't complaining that they're more consistent images. They're fairly consistent. The erotica aren't, because each batch was done by different illustrators. But the girl images were all done by Ibube. I'd say the one with the most inconsistency of anything would be World of Women. I don't... Yeah. NDR Crush was done by like 3 different people, but I'm not intending on doing any more NDR Crush pictures. I don't know. I don't see any remarkable trends here or anything that stands out. Just most people are satisfied. A small group seem to just always want more and are never happy. There's never enough. But that's fine. What other stories do you want images for? This was the big one. I am working on It's Not Easy Making Money in the Incest. That is literally being done. I showed you some of those images. Incest would be the next requested one. So I don't know. Well, what did I say I was going to work on next? I can't even remember what I said a little bit ago. I had this up and I was going to say the one I'm going to work on next is Guy on a Spaceship. Did I have Guy on a Spaceship? Did I just not have that as an option? Yeah, I bet I didn't have that as an option. I forgot to put that one down. So I bet Guy on a Spaceship would have done higher if it was there. So, but Incest on an Island. I think the reason I didn't do Guy on a Spaceship was because Guy on a Spaceship already has some erotica scenes that were drawn. I was using them as practice, so when I was trying to find a new illustrator, I was having them practice with erotica scenes. So I have a variety of different scenes for Guy on a Spaceship, which is probably why somebody's saying they're not consistent and yeah, it gets 26. I mean, that's, if you're just going by the ratio of people satisfied, I think that it's pretty high. But then again, so is Getting Lucky, and Getting Lucky has tons of images. So I don't know. There's no winning with anyone. I can never win. All right, what illustrator should I stop using? This one I was interested in because I just wanted to see if there's anyone that was reviled. Let's bring up those images. So, I keep doing this, and this just wastes my time. So, let's go here and then just duplicate it, and that'll be questions. Yep. No, I didn't want to go to that. I quit. Okay. I'm scrolling down to where we are because I wanted to be able to show you the images so that you know what the question was. These were the images. I was just asking, is there anyone that you guys... I mean, it's not really fair to just show one image and then kind of make this comment, but I kind of... This illustrator right here, by the way, is the same illustrator who did Getting Lucky. He did Man of the House. He did Rise of the Midnight King. Sex trafficking. He did this image. He did this image. He did this image. So all of those are done by Guvrishi. That's A. B is the one who did all of My Dungeon Life's covers. So that's My Dungeon Life. He's this author. He also drew this this version of her at least. This is the one who did the new Enslaved covers, and he already dumped. Like, he's gone. So if you guys liked him, apparently most of you didn't, because he's gone. He was also the most expensive. So there you go. Oh no, up here. See, I was looking at the wrong one. Yeah, see, he's gone. This guy, like I said, has done more than half my covers. So if I got rid of him, I'd be losing all those. I didn't show one of those because I didn't want to show the FX. I was just trying to show pure writing versus the FX effects. He took off. He's the one who decided he didn't want to work with me anymore. This one is the one who does all the MDL erotica currently, and they seem to be. I'm thinking of stopping using them. I've caught up erotica wise, and so it's very likely that I will stop using them. This is the one who's been doing all the portraits. They did all of Moth, and they are the one that I just showed you. So though the images that are coming out for Apocalypse will look like this, and and then if I put them on Guy on a spaceship, those will come out about this quality. It seemed that people are pretty happy with E. C, I already lost. B, like I said, he's become extremely slow of releases lately. I depend on him highly though, because he's done a lot of the best work on my site, and I have not. Every time I find an illustrator that might be as good or better than him, they usually leave after a little while, because the one who did all the watch hand calendar images, after she finished those, she left. And she wasn't willing to keep working with me. Coachum, I didn't like. He did some of the images, but I felt like his quality was slipping, and then we split ways when he wanted to increase the price. The one who is working on this, I worked with them a while. They've been doing all right, but I'm willing to drop them. Since I have this one, they can take up that spot eventually. I'm so far. You have not seen the last 3 volumes of erotica images. I'm farther with erotica images than I am with book covers. If that gives you any indication of the speed difference, he's drawing 5 images in the time he can't draw 1. So that's the speed difference we're talking here. Price difference, I don't care. I can tell you guys. This image would have been about $35. These are $70 images. This was a $150 image. It's not quite fair. It would have been $100 if it was just one person, but because they're doing 2, it was $150. That person I'm no longer have. This was a I think he charges. I think he charges $35. It's $35 or $50, and this one is $35. Once again, these aren't fair comparisons because he does multiple characters, because they're usually sex scenes. You need at least 2 characters, and so that costs a little more. But this one is just one character, and probably would be $50 for 2. I haven't gotten there yet, or haven't had him do. He did the original erotica. He actually was doing MDL's erotica after one of my other illustrators stopped doing them, and then he left for a while, and then he came back, and I started hiring him again because he needed money. So that's basically how it ended up working. But this was actually the original MDL author or illustrator. But when he left and then came back, he actually got much better. He improved his craft quite a bit, and he's been he's been desperate for money, so that's why he's been doing so many for me recently. Um, he's even been asking me for advances and loans, but I don't think I'm gonna do that because I just I can't, you know, my trust isn't that high. I gotta go play it by ear. Anyway, moving on. Which is your favorite art? Most people like Ibube, which is fine. I like him too. I think he's a good artist. Um, so that works for me. A doesn't seem to be most people's favorite art, but then again, I wanted to pick an image that was representative, so I wanted a single image. Like I said, he's also the person who's done this. He did this image. He did this image. I mean, so he's done a lot of interesting images. I don't know if that's going to change people's minds if they know that he's done all of these images or not. He's done this image. I don't know. I just he does group ensembles and he does them for very cheap. Most of these images, these guys like this image. If I had someone like Ibube do that, it would have cost $300 or $400. No joke, and it would have taken him 3 or 4 months to do it at his rate. But this guy's able to do it in a month and only about $100. So that's I like his ensemble images. He's willing to do these nice big group images that no one else can do, and for an affordable price. Most will literally just double it for every additional character you add. So if they charge $50 normally, this would be 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. They charge at least $200 to do an image like that. Are there any images on my site that you feel should be removed? See, this one I was actually thought some people would say getting rid of the MDL images. I didn't see very many of those though, so I'm probably not. Now, to make the point out that image galleries, do I have them in my dungeon layer? No, I have. He's talking about the old images. He's talking about See, I thought if anyone had a problem, it'd be the Power of Creation images, or which aren't in a gallery, so maybe they just never saw them, or but the image I think he's talking about is that image. It was the first image that was ordered for her. I mean, that was when it was first starting out. I was only making about $1,000 a month, so putting that much and finding an illustrator that was good enough, takes time. So, and then there's this image. This image was done fairly cheap too. I did it mostly for fun. And then that image, I assume there's not very many of them. I mean, people are taking that. I mean, they were the images that were done first, and then I swapped them and got new ones. So it's like, do you want me to take away? By the way, the teardrops are right there. Teardrop Islands. I have another image that is much nicer than this one, but I don't. There's too much wrong with it that I don't want to show it because it's going to cause you guys to have this improper, opinion on it. It's I bought recently, there was a map extravaganza thing going for Humble Bundle, and I bought that very recently, and that gives me these map editors, so I could theoretically create more maps, but it's a time thing. I don't have the time to do it. I would need to find someone else who's willing to do it. I hired someone to make a map at one point, but the problem was that I don't have a lot of this land figured out in my mind. Like I don't know what's in the Imperial Cloud Meadow until they actually get there and start interacting in it. So I wanted to make a map that was one where I could add to it and fix to it, and he didn't really make that for me. And so his map is kind of preset, and I do use it a little bit, but it's not perfectly set up like the way I want it to. So I've shown it a few times, but I've not put it up here, I don't think, because yeah, this map is inaccurate. I'll just say that it needs to be modified, especially to match the story, because the story's gone a little bit differently. All right, would you like more images of Watchan? I think most people said yes. I'm happy to keep ordering them. I've ordered a lot, and I like to have kind of a nice reserve of images for her. I'd like more poses that can be put into banners. I found I'm kind of short on those. The triple experiment story. I could find an illustrator that can do 5 images, and then I could start putting out chapters of that. I was curious if people are interested in that. So I'm noticing, I guess it doesn't matter. Well, my responses seem to be dropping, and I'm trying to figure out, because I had 429. Most of you were members. Did I have something wrong that made it so you guys didn't make it to that? I don't know, because only 100 people seem to make it, but everyone should have been. By the time you get to images, everyone who said yes. I mean, but there was, under images, only 160 people responded with yes. So shouldn't there be 300 people? I mean, only 137 responded with yes, but why did only 162 people make it that far? I'm a little confused. Alright. The experiment story, I just wanted to see if anyone was interested in reading it. I had started a while. It had normal pictures, because something I had liked when I was younger was I liked stories that went along with the erotica back in the day before videos were a thing. And you'd get a photo gallery. I liked when they had a story that went along with it, a little blurb. So I thought it'd be fun to create that kind of experience with the story. So basically it's about a guy who's going out trying to test out all the real porn, stories and see how they are. And a lot of people were turned off by the story because it had used real images. And yeah, they're on Machine Sliced Bread. They're not on my site, and I'm not even sure I'd want to put them on my site if ever. But I could do it with drawings instead and make it just a completely fictional thing. And I was interested if that made more people interested in it. And I got, half of people would be interested. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to do it just yet. Maybe. Because I would need an illustrator that would be available and be willing to do 5 images at a time. I could do the MDL guy that you guys want to not use. I could put him on that instead. That would be an option. If you guys are. But, because, I don't know. Not that many people want to get rid of him, right? That would be something I could do with him. Or I can find someone new. But every time you find someone new, it's a little wasted money. What if they're crappy? All that stuff. Okay, I'm completely lost. This is why I need to stop doing that. Images, yes. How many people disliked? 53 out of it. Well, that is a lot. I mean, that's 66% of the people who responded. That's the other problem, though. Because people who didn't respond, people who didn't want anything, just didn't respond. So there's actually another 40 people who just didn't want anyone to be stopped being used. And that would have been enough to change that number. So it's only like 33% or 40%. I should have had a no option here. I didn't think about it at the time. I was thinking, well, you could always just skip. But if you skip, then the responses are different and the statistics are different. So that was a mistake I made. I realize now. Still 33 or 40% of people want me to stop using him. I don't know. Maybe I should. But I can't guarantee I'd find someone better. I mean, a lot of it's just a price thing. I'm not going to order 5 images from the same sex scene, and spend $200 a scene, right? I don't know. What erotic elements do you feel there needs to be more of? Nothing. I think that's fine. Vanilla. Vanilla is kind of like, what does that even mean? To me, I was interpreting vanilla as being just romances. Well, one man, one woman, forming kind of a relationship thing. I think that's what most people are saying. Although most of my sex scenes are fairly vanilla, but most of them do have this underlying master-slave relationship or something. Incest, mother, son. This has actually intrigued me lately. I've been thinking, basically, WoW was really popular when it first came out, and the original focus on it was a mother and a son relationship. And I've been kind of thinking of doing a story. Well, this is brother-sister seems to be even better than the mother-son as far as a number. I've been thinking of doing another... Well, I'm doing Incest on Island right now, but I've been thinking of bringing in another story, but have it focus much more on just the mom and the son. And just have... And maybe even have that be like a romance, a mom-son romance. Like that miserable anime that came out that was My Mother with the Two Blades or something like that, where it's about them in another world, but it was like a virtual reality, but she's super strong and he's crap, and I don't know. I something like that where the mom and the son get brought into another world and it's just their relationship as they go. I could consider something like that. Probably shouldn't introduce too many new stories, though, until I start going through some of the ones that are already there. What do you think I should work on to improve my stories? Perfectly happy. I'm perfectly happy with that. More focus on characterization. I'm betting that mostly has to go to My Dungeon Life. If you're talking about public readers, most of them have only gotten to about chapter 500. So they're like volume 7. So if you notice all that characterization that's happening in volumes 11, 12, 13, 14, 15... has not happened yet, so they've never even seen that. So I think in a lot of their opinion, but then again, I've heard from other people that I need to do more in characterization. I think when you have a harem that's 20 people wide, it's always kind of difficult. I've asked questions in the past, surveys about how big people want harems to be, and I'm a harem writer, so I mean, there's some people who don't like harems at all, but I like that. That's what I write. That's what I have fun with. Even, reading books like Wheel of Time, I like the harem aspects of it. It was fun. In fact, that's Wheel of Time's probably one of the main reasons I got into isekai and harems in the first place, was because I liked it in Wheel of Time. That's a book by Robert Jordan, a saga that came out. If you didn't know. But, yeah. I have started. Automatic Girlfriend is trying to focus more on just the characterization. Incest on Island is specifically focusing on the characterization. But if you judge all of my writing based on My Dungeon Life, which was written for very specific, it was written to be a light kind of long running story with a very slow progression and all this stuff. I mean, you can kind of understand why. I mean, one story is written for a different reason than another story is written for. Whenever there's a request for more focus on sex, there seems to be just as much of a request for everything else, so I don't feel like I need to have more sex in my stories. More focus on daily living. Now that's a more interesting one, because I'm not very good at that. I've tried. In fact, My Dungeon Life was originally supposed to be just a daily living story. But, you can see how it turned out, right? I'm not that great at it. What kind of content do you like? Yeah, I mean, these are the 3 things that I write, so it's good that you guys pick those things. To a lesser extent, there are slaves in RPG. So yeah, I mean, you're my audience, and so you wouldn't be my audience if you weren't into those things. So I think that's all fine. Um, I don't see anything jumping out where, except maybe RPG status bars and leveling. And the reason I don't do more RPG status bars and leveling is because it becomes a big pain. I am trying that recently. I've on Discord, I've been talking to I have somebody who's been working on the system for. So I have a new story I'm going to eventually start called Bacterium, or I reincarnated as a single celled bacteria. And that one's going to be a romance, so it's just going to be one girl, one guy. And it will focus more on slice of life, and it will also focus more on RPG status. They're building a system for me, hopefully, that'll be very specific, so there won't be any of those moments where, you're kind of just making it up. Everything will have been built ahead of time, so... And yeah, it happens. I know some people complain about it. They're like, oh, yeah, this is contrived because he got this skill right before he needed it. And I'm like, yeah, but that's kind of the charm of these novels, Anyway, which stories have you read or are reading? My Dungeon Life is winning. I think no surprise there. Enslaved. Yeah, this is the difference between your public readers and then your membership readers. So now we're back to Enslaved being one of the top in World of Women, and all these stories that are locked for those non-readers. Yeah. I'm gonna move a little faster here because I think we're already trudging over 2 hours now. Over 3 hours maybe. I don't even know. Which stories have you dropped? Would have you dropped? NTR Crush, obviously people drop it because they seem to think that NTR Crush won't have NTR in it. I mean, it's because of the tagline, I will steal every woman. They think it's pure stealing, and it's not any taking. I've written disclaimers on it, but the story is about him stealing women, and by the end of it, he literally steals every woman in the universe. Sorry, spoiler. So I don't know how it could be more wish fulfilling if I tried, but people are just so bitter and hateful of anything that even approaches. Oh my God, she looked in another guy's direction. I'm like, it's about NTR. That's what happens. I don't know. Power of Creation, a lot of people drop just because it's a dumb novel. If you don't, you got to know what you're getting into when you get into Power of Creation. I am rewriting it. It's going to come out on Amazon. And with I corrected into first person, and I got the names. I changed them away from Disney princesses. Some of them. Now, some of the names I just left if they were a common enough name that I didn't think it'd be an issue. But I changed a lot of the names to be not Disney princesses, and changed some of the content too. So that's I got the first books being edited right now, and then I will release it, and it'll be another version of the Power of Creation book. I probably won't attach it to illustrations at all. If you want the illustrations, you can still get them from the original. And I'm not going to redo the illustrations either. This is just kind of breathing a little life into that series. It's part of a longer goal, and I think some of you, if you've read the original series, you know what's going to happen. But I started it, and then I stopped it, and I think if I can get it on Amazon where it's starting to earn money, that it'll motivate me to finish it and get it done. And I'm in a position now where that's a lot easier for me. Oh, a lot of people drop World of Women. Yeah, I know, I'm aware about that. My Dungeon Life is just so long that some people are going to drop it. I don't see anything particularly remarkable here. Of the stories listed, which story is your absolute favorite? My Dungeon Life is pretty expected. Everything else seems to be a battle. Moth seems to be doing the best. Tails is doing all right for it. So yeah, nothing's winning. that's exactly. So you're like, hey, why are you dedicating 5 releases a week to My Dungeon Life and everything else is only 1 or 2? There's your answer right there. That's exactly why. Nothing's winning. Nothing's out ahead. This is exactly, people's absolute favorites are so varied. There's nothing I can concentrate on that would satisfy everyone. When you're talking, Man of the House is slightly more popular. The Guy on the Spaceship's popular. Tales is popular. Enslaved is popular. There's nothing, no one universally, other than My Dungeon Life. And that's because it gets released so often that it's so popular. And it's so popular because it gets released often. So there's really no winning there. But this is what I was talking about with Apocalypse too. Where is even Apocalypse? Is it even on here? Is it no one's favorite? Or did I not put it on here? Oh, here it is. Yeah, see, Apocalypse releases twice a week, where everything else releases once. Yet it's actually less. No one's favorite story. That's exactly what I was talking about when I was talking. I mean, it's no one's hated story. I'm sure it might be someone's second favorite story, but that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the overall, interest people have in it. And sorry, that's my clock going off in the background. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the effort put into it versus what you get out of it. Apocalypse is no one's favorite story, but I don't put more effort into it than most of these, but Man of the House is only a 2,000 word chat, or is only 2,000, and Getting Lucky right here is only an 1,800 word chapter, and it's just as popular as Apocalypse, and which I have to put out 3,000 words a week. So yeah, so what should I focus my time on? That's kind of the question, right? Well, which stories are not part of a regular weekly release? Which is your favorite? This is kind of what should I be picking up next? What should I be concentrating on? And Automatic Girlfriend, it's 9.3%. Oh, I've read none of them. That's, yeah. It looks like Incest on the Island wins again. But yeah. And then I Reincarnated actually was less than Incest. So everyone was pushing for this novel first to be the one that was next one to pick up. But it looks like Incest is doing better. Which is probably good because Incest... I actually do have an idea for how I want I Reincarnated the first volume to go. So there is an arc going on that's started. So that's fine for that. But yeah, Incest on Island. Are there any of you that feel you should be on hiatus? Anything people should drop? Now this is amusing. Incest on the Island also has the largest amount of people who want it dropped. It's not only the most popular, it's the least popular too. So there's a battle going on between incest lovers and not incest lovers. I don't know how that's going to play out. Requiem I already did put on hiatus, and people seem to think it's fine being left on hiatus. At least the most people. Remember, this is just the people who are okay with something being on hiatus. The vast majority of people say, "Oh, I don't want anything on hiatus." So I gotta be tricked. So I can't get too excited there on statistics, or I'm going to be reading it wrong. Is there any story on this list you would like to donate more to see pick up? Now that's the big one. What's going to make me the money? And it seems like Automatic Girlfriend. That's why I was thinking Automatic Girlfriend. It's nobody's favorite, but it seems to be the one most people want to see continued the most. So and it's Incest on an Island too. And I Reincarnated. Nobody's very excited about Harem. That's my card game one. That's a little depressing, but then again, I only have one chapter out of Harem, and I haven't really gotten very far in it. So I think I want to put some more chapters out and get it a little farther for people, and then we'll probably retest it. Because I am making the card game either way. It'd be nice if the card game was with a series that was popular, but I'm competing with all these other ones. So these are kind of the 3-4 runners of stories that haven't quite been picked up, but could be picked up. It does kind of tell you that maybe, All Gods Must Die and The Last Dread Pirate might need to be pushed aside for these other ones. Huh. Of the stories currently getting no chapters or dropped, are there any you feel should be picked up? See, there, that was exactly what I was like. Friend Zone, 9.1%. Notori Master, 9.1%. Devil Snare's a little less at 5%, which is only like 5 people less. But Yeah, see, so which one of these three stories that are almost all identical should I be working with? I mean, there's just no. I mean, it's the same up here. There's just no. I have no indication of where I should dedicate my time because it's so perfectly spread out. I mean, the best I can say is things I shouldn't dedicate my time with, which I don't. Um, but yeah. Of Story, all the series were finished. What would you rather see? This one was a very important question to me, and I'm glad I got a good answer here. One of the monthly stories becoming weekly versus the monthly stories become every other week. So this is kind of a tough one. It's like, do I want to pick up a story to become a monthly story, or to become a weekly story? So basically, right now I have these stories set on rotation. So every month I got 4 chapters, and those are dedicated to. So if you probably are aware of this, you guys, but for anyone who's not aware of this, with my monthly newsletter, I got Rise the Midnight King, Incest. Here, this will make it clear. I got Rise the Midnight King, The Last Dread Pirate, Reincarnate Demon King, and All Gods Must Die. It's not there this month because this. Wait, is it All Gods Must Die? Let me look at the previous month so I'm not confused. I don't want to be wrong. Yeah, it is All Gods Must Die. So All Gods Must Die, Rise of the Midnight King, Last Dread Pirate, and Reincarnating Darmaclan. On this one actually only gets made every other month unless the date doesn't fall on the 7th. So basically, every other month, I have off a week, so that one gets dropped because I don't have off on that week. But these other ones are monthly. So the idea would be to take one of these novels and make it a weekly novel instead. This is when I get done with Man of the House. I would take one of these novels and make it weekly. The alternative would be to give the time slot that was towards Man of the House and give it to a second novel. So in that, or to this again. So this novel would be twice a week or twice a month. This one would be twice a month. This one would be twice a month. And this one would be twice a month. And this one would be 3 times every 2 months instead of 4 times every 2 months because 1 week would be off. So I could do that, but that's what I wanted to know. That was the question. Was do I want to turn one of these into a weekly, or do I want to do something else? Sorry, give me 1 second. Anyway, I was getting called by my wife. Anyway, sorry. Moving on, Rise of the Midnight, blah blah blah. So that was the question that I was asking. It seems that you guys want something to be monthly, and my guess is you're very specifically thinking about Reincarnate Demon Lord, is what people, when they're answering that question, they want that to become the monthly. And which story would you like to see more of? My Dungeon Life. This one's so. Come on, You know these 6 people only read My Dungeon Life, only care about My Dungeon Life, and there would be no amount of My Dungeon Life that they couldn't get enough of. It's just asking for more when you guys already get 15 chapters 5 releases a week. Anyway, Enslaved. I know people want Enslaved. I can't write it better. I'm sorry. I do my best, but that's all I can do. Which stories would you want to see picked up for regular release? Incest on an Island seems to be the winner. Technically, that wouldn't be attributed by this. So if I did do this, and I probably will, I'll probably just pick up one story to become weekly. I would need to do a survey, and it'd be a survey between Incest on an Island, Automatic Girlfriend, and Reincarnated. And it looks like Incest on an Island would probably win. So it would be picked up as becoming a monthly thing. That's what I'm seeing as the responses here. but that's not representative of everybody who did the survey. So we'll see. How do you feel about the author? I just wanted to see how he feels. I don't know. If you're down here, why are you even filling my surveys or reading my content? I don't know. I mean, if you're below that much. Yeah, some people think I'm an ass. I don't. I think they're an ass. I mean, if it's any consolation, most of these people who think I'm an ass, I think they're an ass. I think they've treated me like an ass. And if you haven't, everything I've said up until this point, you can kind of get a feeling for how I'm feeling about some of that stuff, because it's like when you show up, you make some jerky comment, and then you expect me not to respond to it. I cannot respond. I mean, I tried that, just not responding to people and just putting it aside. I do worry that I'm creating like that people don't want to comment because they're afraid I'm going to say something. But so I do try to avoid comments, but sorry, give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. Do I need to work on interactions with my readers? I think most people don't mind and don't care. I just don't see that I'm a problem. If you do feel that I'm a problem, then yeah, I try my best. I don't try to be rude. Sometimes I'm just in a bad mood. No one's in a perfect mood all the time. I think, I get a lot of people who give jerky expectations about things, and that can bug me sometimes, but I usually don't try to treat anyone unfairly, and I don't try to be bitchy with anyone. So if I am, I'm apologize. I do care. I have to put hard stances on things because I am a business. I am running stuff. I can't just be flippy floppy with stuff. When I have people who are making, I don't like censoring comments. Some people think I do, because I do delete the comments occasionally. I usually delete them when I just don't feel they're applicable, or when they're just long arguments. Because why? I mean, when I'm trying to advertise a book, when I'm trying to, sell whatever, my dungeon life, and the first thing you do when you go, no, let's use a real world example. When you go to NTR Crush and you go to the homepage and you come down here, and the first thing you see is this giant argument between people cussing at each other and saying, "Oh, this is dumb." Or even me arguing. If I argue with somebody because somebody says something I didn't like, and I'm probably going to delete this message thread eventually, because all it is mostly, me trying to make my point and with some other people, and it's. The whole point, anyone who would come here and want to have this discussion, the thing they want to be doing is NTR Crush worth reading? And if you don't feel that way, I don't mind it. I leave bad comments. My Dungeon Life, the only comment on my Dungeon Life that's been there for a long time has been somebody who's writing a negative review. This person doesn't like it. I'm not deleting that review. I have no problem with the negative stuff. But when it's like an argument that has nothing to do with anything, I'll delete it after a year. I think it's fair to just move on with the conversation, and that seems to offend people, or that think, oh, how dare you delete, you're censoring, you're hiding, no. I mean, I leave 99.9% comments there. It's just when there's a long running argument that I felt went nowhere, doesn't display anyone in a good light, and isn't even relevant to the conversation, then I will delete it, and I think that's fine. And it's kind of weird to me people have this obsession with every comment ever made has to be like, and 90% of these comments I delete are like someone asking a question, when's the next release? How is that going to be relevant to anyone who's going to, when someone asks, when's the next release, when I wrote volume 8, when is that going to be any relevance to someone who's starting to read at volume 16? So that's my my 2 cents on it. What do I need to do to regain your trust? I'm not gonna read Spanish. Nothing. Nothing to do. Don't be. I'm not very confrontational. I mean, I don't. I mean, if you read through the comments, how often do I actually respond to people? It's just, once every 10, 20 releases is, I don't know. That's even an overstatement. But I might respond to 2 people a month. But I don't know. And if somebody does insult me or says something I just flat out doesn't even represent what I read, and I admit I'm wrong too. I'm always happy to admit I'm wrong. I'm not somebody who's caught up on that. Don't take every comment. Yeah, do I do that? Does anyone actually think I do that? I mean, the fact that I've even gone through the survey, I don't know. You have to be in a special place to. I think it says more about these commenters who get so worked up over somebody responding to them than it says about me as how I take it. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It looks like the responses have restored. It looks like I got 5 minutes to finish this, so I'm gonna move through. I'm literally getting to the end here. I really like the site. Great. I don't like the site. I think the site is fine. So the vast majority of people are fine with the site, so that's good. I don't see very many people complaining about things I could actually fix. I don't want to use tags because tags add something I really hate. Basically here. So I add a tag to JTs because it's the only way I can get them to appear on this release thing. But then you end up with this. And this is based on the JT tag. It's not based on the man of the house tag. So if I am reading and I accidentally click on this, suddenly I'm on the wrong story, not even the story I started on, and it gets confusing. So that's been my personal issue with web novels, and it's why I avoid tags. I sort everything by category, and you can look through categories. This is post by month, but there is a post by category that I used to include too, but I don't include anymore just because it gets too busy. I mean, how many features do you guys want down here anyway? If I keep adding them, it's just going to become a noise. I mean, if the next thing you want is going to be an announcement platform right here, then you're going to have that there. Then I can do a post by categories, then that's there. I mean, it's just going to get really noisy if I keep adding stuff, and then it's going to be effectively useless. But I mean, if you guys really want it to look like, the bottom of Amazon.com with these 50 if you want it to look like that, I can make it look like that. I just don't see how it's going to be helpful for you guys. Anyway. Yeah, I've had people complain. I don't know. I think my design is fine. I have no clue what his problem is with the design. I designed it to look a lot like Scribble or any of these others. It's just a nice, clear list. This was Scribble. I mean, it's white, but it's it's just got the lists here. I mean, that's kind of what I designed it to look like. I use bigger images. I like the size because I just like to make things very clear and clean cut. But I don't know. I don't like the hacker green. Okay. I had it red originally, and they said they didn't like the red, so I switched to green. I bet if I switch to purple, you won't like that, and I bet if I switch to blue, you won't like that, and there's always going to be, well, not you, but whoever, someone else won't like it. Someone will always not like it. My main is I can't see the chapters that I can't read. Can see the chapters I can't read. I can see $10 chapters, but can't read until some date. I would like to not see them. See that? I have no clue how I would be able to accomplish that. You literally would not see chapters you couldn't read. They would somehow not be announced in the recent posts. That you would see a completely different menu. I mean, that would be rebuilding things from the ground up. I have no clue how to do that. All right, moving on. This was just some questions about some of the stuff. The calendar didn't work. I'm going to be working on trying to get a new calendar up, or how it's working. It's a bunch of nonsense you don't really need to know about. I'm going to try to get a cheaper way of bringing it up. I don't know if it's even going to be out this year though. Um, this was just how interested are you in the harem card game? Most people are more interested in the story. Your readers, why would you be interested in card game? I do still want to do the card game though. This is kind of something I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's been slow running, but it is getting near done. I'm about halfway there right now. I have about half the images done. I'm going to start by making a digital game that plows and plays with it, and then we'll go from there. What are your thoughts on the watch end calendar? Some people are interested, some people are not. I'm going to release those images as posters, and I'll try to get a calendar out there. I just need to figure out this Printify information. What do you think of Watch End's library? It seems most people are interested, so I'm happy to make more images. This auto book generator, I'm sure the people who aren't interested in this are probably the people who are never going to be at a tier that would be able to afford it. So, but so I do still have an interest in doing this, but we'll see if it ever gets done. I mean, it will eventually, but we'll see. Are you interested in visual novel? This is kind of a long running thing I've wanted to do. And it seems that most people are interested in the visual novel. For me, I just need to get in touch with somebody who has the technical know-how, and then we can combine my writing ability with his technical know-how to create a story. My original plan was to do a zombie story, but I'm starting to think that maybe I should go a different direction. Oh, the comic book. Most people, didn't realize this was kind of with my advertisement. I was just trying to say, hey, I got a comic strip. I'm always looking for ways to do that. And then finally, do we have any other comments? Yeah, our guy of the spaceship will be coming back soon. People, I get a lot of compliments, and that's actually one of the other reasons I do this survey, because I don't hear back from most of you. I wouldn't be half as grouchy if I got, so many thankful comments at the end. I mean, when a translator does it, you get like, whatever, against the gods, he gets like hundreds and hundreds of comments, and tons of them are just thank you or I appreciate it. I don't get that on my site. Most of the time I only get one comment, and it's usually complaining about something. So if I got a bunch of thank yous and happiness, I would probably not be as grouchy when I get the negative comments. But yeah, this is one of the few times when I actually get to hear back from you guys, and I really do appreciate it. It's really great to hear that, this is the support I need, and it sucks I only get it once every 6 months, but this is really great, and I really appreciate it. So yeah, I'm probably not gonna. I don't have too much time to go through more content. My wife is actually wanting me to get out the door. I think I've talked long enough. Do you guys have any questions for me before I go? I know you've been listening for 3 hours, and now I'm suddenly throwing everybody under the bus. Now it's your time to talk. I'll just go through some of these comments while I'm waiting to see if anyone has any questions. Most of his compliments, most of it, I really appreciate. Yeah, it's more NTR. So some people do like it. I didn't realize you had comics. I only have one comic book, and then I have comic strip. And I don't work on either. I'm not an artist. I just hire people to do it. And they're my stories, which I do for fun. And diversification. I think diversification is a good thing. A lot of you say I should just work on one thing, but being diverse is, to me, important. I mean, you can talk through the texting of words. On the type of voting on the type, yeah. I'm answering PG-13s. Yeah, I did like the zombie game idea. The zombie game idea actually got slightly retconned. The Untitled Zombie book, that was actually the visual novel. I just wrote, a couple chapters. It's not the same character or necessarily, but the premise was essentially that it's a university. This guy wakes up in the university, and he has to escape the zombie apocalypse. Making a decentralized network. Honestly, the big one I'm interested in is Zevenin's supposed book reading service that he's been working on, because that's supposed to combine the benefits of web novels with the I've been banned off Facebook, so I if I could get into any social media that would actually keep me, I wouldn't be against it. I don't really know. I'd have to see what Tim Pool comes up with before I know what that would need. I think keeping my own website is going to remain. I don't think I'm ever going to abandon my website completely, but I would be interested in moving into other platforms. I was actually Bacterium, the book that I'm talking about with the romance and stuff. I'm planning on putting that into what's it called? They're light novel translations. It was another website, another translator. I was hoping to put my book there as a means to find more audience and drag them over to my site, because I don't have a means of advertisement. So the only way I can attract people is through Scribble Hub, through Royal Road, through I've stopped using machine sliced bread to attract people, unfortunately, because the site's been weird and glitchy lately. So I'm always looking for ways to bring people in. The one people always mention is webnovel.com. I'm not gonna use Webnovel. I don't have good luck with them. I used Amazon Vela a little bit, but I've more or less given up on them too. The one thing stopping me from enjoying Whatsawhizzer stories is chapter length. See, when you say something like that, you immediately tell me that the only thing you've ever read is my Dungeon Life. Because if most of my stories are 2,000 words to 3,000 words, so quite a few of them are over 3,000 words a chapter. And if that length you have a problem with, then I don't know. You said I'm happy waiting a couple of weeks. Well, guess what you do for every story that isn't my Dungeon Life. Sorry, I was just reading random stories as I go. You aren't really writing for me as I have trouble. Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't justify spending money for reading very often either. So I understand. I understand people who don't pay. I'm not dissing anyone who. I respect. I love my public readers. I wish you guys left a few more comments and showed a bit more support. If you were actually supportive of the content and you can't pay, it would be nice if you showed support in other ways. Advertising it, just in the sense of mentioning it, or I guess they call it retweeting it. I know none of you are Twitter followers, but yeah, the biggest issue I have with all of it is just getting people to hear about me. So anything that can help increase, even just right here, just looking at the novels. I just kind of pointed it out, and I actually asked once, and nobody did it. Well, one person did it, but they wrote something that was just as critical as everyone else. Look, I only have anyone who goes to My Dungeon Life on my website and wants to know if this book is good. They're going to scroll down here, and the only thing they see is a negative review. So if you like My Dungeon Life, and this would be 100% free, and it would only take you, 10 minutes of your time, then you can leave a comment talking about how much you like this book and how it's a good book and how people should read it, because that'll bring more people to read it. It would get more attention. I would, be more invested into it, and you can do that with any book you happen to like. The one you like, you could put a comment there, and that would, like, anyone who goes, would see that. But you, and I'm not saying you have to be positive and you have to give me positive reviews. I mean, you give me whatever you feel you do. But if you're going to write a very critical negative review here, it's not going to help support the book. I mean, if you're talking about me personally, I'm doing fine as a writer, and I'm not even sure at this point how much I would be improved by anyone, specifically saying, well, what you got to do is you got to write this way. I'm like, I'm pretty sure at this point I'm writing, pretty well. And most of these books, can't be fixed, with, something that happened in volume 5 when I'm on volume 14. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's common sense, and I've written this a couple of times in my Wattpad 101, my writing support book. If you want to see an author succeed, and you want to help them, and you don't have the money, be their cheerleader. I mean, just leaving comments that, saying good job, or I really appreciate this, or whatever, not laced with criticism, not, intended to cut them down and to tell them how it really is. I mean, that would help. I mean, it would improve. It would. I'm not talking, from the sense of oh, I want people to compliment me. I'm not approaching that. I'm approaching it purely from your point of view, from the goal you want to reach. If you want a writer to write more, criticism is not the way to do it. I mean, it's weird that you have to explain this to people, and there's so many people who don't even when you explain it, they don't seem to get it. Like, they think you're, like, trying to extort something from them. And it's just like, no, it's just like, if you want a writer to write more, complimenting them is going to get them to write more. And yes, if you want them to write better, then you can criticize them, but usually, unless you're very careful with those critiques, you're going to end up demotivating them and having them write less or worse. In fact, most of the criticisms a lot of my books have received, like World of Women, came because I received a crap load of comments criticizing them, and so I made changes into the story to try to address these criticisms. And for a while, and this was when I was first starting out writing, World of Women became like, I got so bitter about it because I received so many negative comments that I didn't want to write it anymore. And so one of the reasons World of Women has such of this inconsistent, pattern where every volume is a little bit different is because it got over criticized, and at the time I was listening to everyone who was commenting, and it even got to the point, like, with volume 1, I wrote an alternative ending because people just hated the ending I chose. But yeah, I think I've been on long enough, and I think I probably should take off. I need to go eat. I haven't eaten today at all. I'm not seeing any more questions, and I think I scared off most of the people. We were up pretty high for a while. Quite a few viewers. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, thank you for the survey. Thanks for letting me know. I do have a couple things I've decided I'm going to do. I will be doing that announcement page. Incest will probably be the next story that gets picked up once I finish Man of the House. And yeah, thank you, and I appreciate it. So I'll see you guys. Bye-bye.